The losses are still huge. More than 1 million a week are losing their jobs. The numbers show an improvement from the previous week. There were 1.18 million people filing for unemployment benefits for the first time last week. Economists were expecting 1.4 million new claims. New claims have remained over 1 million a week, though down from the peak of 6.9 million in late March. The persistent high levels suggest companies are still laying off workers in high numbers. The Labor Department's monthly employment report is released Friday morning. Jenny Cosola, Fox News.
Commemorations are taking place in Hiroshima, marking 75 years since the U.S. launched the world's first nuclear bomb attack.
In a scaled-back ceremony, owing to the coronavirus outbreak, a bell rings in Hiroshima to start a moment of silence at 8:15 a.m., the time when the U.S. launched the world's first nuclear bomb attack 75 years ago. The mayor of Hiroshima urging world leaders to commit seriously to abandoning nuclear weapons. The bomb killed an estimated 140,000 people and was followed by another attack on Nagasaki before Japan surrendered, ending World War II. Simon Owen, Fox News.
A Minneapolis commission has decided to take more time to review a city council amendment to dismantle the police department in the wake of George Floyd's death. The move ends the possibility of voters deciding the issue in November. The Charter Commission had expressed concern that the process to change the city's charter was being rushed after Floyd died following an encounter with a Minneapolis police officer. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
A job applicant totally nails an interview with the person who will make his life a living hell for the next 5 years. And adjusting several sliders on a recording studio's mixing console pays off big time. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, a study published by researchers at Johns Hopkins University revealed a direct correlation between breastfeeding and knowing exactly what's best for other people at all times. Overwhelming evidence indicated that the moment mothers begin breastfeeding, they develop a highly honed sense of what is wrong with others' approach to life, and were able to loudly enumerate those faults with total confidence in their accuracy. Researchers noted that the practice greatly boosted a young mother's immunity to the viewpoints of others. And in this week's Tech Report, a startup is very casual about its dress code and benefits. In other news, the Secretary of Interior says knocking down the Rocky Mountains could really open up the nation. And a woman is not going to let her husband of 60 years drag her into death at the same time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, checkpoints now in New York City as of yesterday. We'll tell you about that. Your calls and thoughts, of course, are welcome. Plus, in other big city COVID crackdown news, Los Angeles will be shutting off water and power to any homes found hosting large gatherings. So the crackdown continues to get worse as businesses, most of them, refuse to push back. The restaurants, there was a headline I saw today that, as I'm looking around for things to talk about, and of course there's no shortage of things to talk about, but I saw a headline about, and it was written yesterday, restaurants to issue an ultimatum to the governor of Pennsylvania. And the restaurants there are upset because the governor had allowed them to reopen, but only at 50% capacity. Then changed it to 25% capacity because, well, somebody said so or whatever. COVID. And so you can't run a restaurant at 25% capacity. You really can't do it at 50% capacity. And so they were supposed to be giving like an ultimatum to the governor, and they'd formed some new restaurant association of Southwest PA or Southeast PA or whichever one it was. And they were supposed to deliver their ultimatum this morning at 9 a.m. And I'm like, all right, we got some more business owners who are standing up because we followed a little bit of the story of the guys in New Jersey, the gym owners at Tillis Gym. I think it was Belmar. Is the town in New Jersey, who literally, after being arrested for contempt of court, went back to their place of business and kicked in the government's, their plywood that they put up over their doors. So to try to prevent them from doing business. This was after they already took their own doors off their hinges because the government had tried to change their locks on them. So rather than allowing the government to continue to change the locks on them, they just took the doors down, leaving an open portal to just anybody could go in, I guess, at any time. And then they got arrested for contempt of court, got back out, went in and kicked down. So I'm like, all right, we finally got some business owners who are
people with guts, right?
They're willing to stand up. And the interesting thing about them is they've got families. So the usual fear of a business owner is they don't want or anybody generally, is they don't want to do activism if they've got a family. If they've got kids at home, they're scared to death of the government Department of Children and Families coming in and stealing their kids from them and saying, well, if you don't obey what the government tells you to do, you're a bad parent, so therefore we're going to take your kids. And it's a completely legitimate concern. I get it, and I'm not even a parent.
I've never seen it. I mean,
you've never seen that happen?
I've never seen an activist, but I'm thinking maybe marijuana activists. I haven't seen too many activists get their kids taken from them.
That's because most of them won't do serious activism after they have kids.
Well, chicken and the egg. I don't know how to address that issue, but I'm just saying I haven't seen a lot of activists, across the nation get their kids taken from them. We've got a nation of 300,000 people. I'm not saying that people don't fear it. I fear it.
It happened to
the fear.
It happened to Barry Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah. The former cop in Texas, the enforcement officer or whatever of the year, I think he was, or drug enforcement officer of the year in the state of Texas. He stood up against the war on drugs. He went so far as to actually conduct sting operations against the police in what he called cop busters with a K, cop busters, where he set up
a reality TV program called Cop Busters.
Well, it was attempted to be a reality TV show. I don't think it ever, made it off the internet, but
it's still reality TV.
Well, and free-range parents too. I'm sure that's a good example of parents that are getting their children taken away because they want to raise them the way they want to raise them.
Great example. And so, we've definitely...
Most of the free-range parents, I think, are just sort of people who are living their lives. They're not activists in so much as they're not doing what they're doing for the purpose of trying to make parenting better for everybody.
Yeah, but being a free-range parent is basically being an activist now. Unless you don't know...
Being a parent 40 years ago is now activism level activism.
It's like passive activism. These people aren't the same people that are going out and going to protests or going out and doing demonstrations or doing...
That's true.
Civil disobedience.
But that's the thing. Now we're living in a time where just doing something as a free person is an act of non-cooperation. It may not be an act of civil disobedience in that you don't announce it in advance saying, hey, everybody, I'm going to take my kid out or let my kid go to the park by themselves. You don't put it out there in that way. And that would sort of make it civil disobedience to try to draw attention to it for the purpose of, discussion or making change.
I mean, no one would do that, right? I'm going to go do things that might cause the police to take my children away.
Right.
I mean, it's just the kind of thing that they wouldn't do. Whereas somebody might say, sure, you're 11 years old. You can walk home from the park. I remember I was walking home from the park at 6 years old. I mean, literally, I was riding my bike to the other street with training wheels on at 6 years old.
I was doing it at 6, absolutely. Absolutely.
And now the idea of an 11-year-old walking a mile home from the park or school or something like that is the kind of thing that gets the cops called.
Right. Even though abductions are actually down, right? Like the amount of violent crimes and things like that. Usually if somebody's going to snatch a kid, it's probably going to be a family member, not some random dude, driving through the neighborhood. But, rational thought need not enter into these discussions. And so back to the story here, I was just kind of mentioning these guys in New Jersey at the gym who were heroically taking on a severe amount of risk, not just risking their business, but also their families by standing up for their business freedom. And so I'm thinking, all right, maybe this is catching. Maybe the nearby business owners in Pennsylvania are going to, so not that nearby, southwestern Pennsylvania, but still, that maybe they were going to do something as well. And unfortunately, the president of a group of these restaurant and bar owners Thursday, that's today, shied away from threatening to reopen establishments to full capacity. He said that instead, the board members of the newly formed Southwestern Pennsylvania Restaurant and Tavern Association will instead wait for a sit-down meeting with Governor Tom Wolf, the very same governor who is restricting them to only 25% capacity. He says, quote, "If we go off on the wrong foot threatening, I don't think we're going to get anywhere."
He may be right. I have no idea, but this is the game lawyers play.
He, however, hopes Wolf is listening, saying, quote, "We need some relief, and if not, we don't have a choice. We have to survive," he said, adding some restaurant and bar owners might only wait until August 14th to meet with Wolf before they take matters into their own hands.
That's a threat.
So I mean, I hope that they do.
They didn't threaten to walk up with pitchforks and torches and tear down the governor's mansion if he doesn't respond by noon tomorrow. But I mean, they've said, "Hey, look, we're out here trying to run businesses. Remember us, the people who actually pay your taxes?"
Yeah. So they are instead just going to hope that the governor meets with them. Maybe some of them will break away and do their own thing in a couple weeks. But all the buildup that these folks had this week towards supposedly dropping an ultimatum on the governor has completely been nullified.
I disagree with that. I think that the ultimatum has been given without the kind of nasty rhetoric that would necessarily that you're looking for, right? Like you're looking for the big splash. "Governor, if you don't do it, we're coming to the
No, I wouldn't even say that. I would just say we're going to open.
Boogaloo your ass right out of there.
You don't say. See, this is their mistake. They're making a huge mistake.
Okay.
They're going to go try to negotiate with this criminal. Okay, they're going to try to negotiate with the terrorist. And instead, if you have an association of business owners who are actually willing to make a stand, then what you do is you just say, "We're going to reopen on this date together." Okay? Signed. All these business owners.
But, you can't get everybody to do that. I mean, they went into business. They got an occupation.
You can't get everybody to do it, but that's why supposedly why they formed this new business association, because they were going to together open on the same day. And then the day they were going to announce when they were going to do that, the president decided, no, we'll just go ahead and negotiate instead.
Was it the president or the
president of the association.
Okay.
So, huge mistake in that particular case. If you want your freedoms, you've got to stand up for them. You're never going to get them through begging. I'm sorry.
Something took the wind out of their sails. But you got to wonder, was it them or was it someone from the governor's office?
Maybe somebody from the governor's office said, "Hey, what do you think about a meeting?"
Maybe so.
I mean, what would you do
they got
in
all
that
tantalized by it. Oh my God, the governor will meet with us. Oh, His Excellency, he'll meet with us. Okay, we'll back down. 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. I wonder what it's going to cost them to wait the 2 weeks or however long it is before they can actually get to this meeting. How much business is it going to cost them? 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. We got checkpoints and more coming up.
My dog, Mojo, was half beagle and half coonhound. He ate everything in sight. He would swallow things whole, including a chicken carcass, a bird nest with a bird in it, and assorted stones and sticks. We had to take him to the veterinary emergency room. After surgery, Mojo had skin issues. He was constantly itching and scratching, chewing on his feet and chewing the hair right off of his legs, being irritated, lethargic, and just not the same dog.
DINOVITE.com.
When we put him on the Dinovite, he took right to it. All of these symptoms disappeared.
Dinovite is nutrition.
If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Something that he actually likes to eat. You need to put him on Dinovite.
Dinovite for life.
If you love your dog, you don't just want him healthy, you want him to be happy.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. News from news.bitcoin.com. BTC miners give off a signal of intending to sell. Does this mean a bear cycle? New Zealand police seized $91 million from a Russian exchange operator. Anti-crypto SEC head stepping down, making Bitcoin ETFs more likely. And you can make money by referring people to exchange.bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. Are there any business owners where you live that are really just outstanding and willing to stand up for their freedom to run their business how they want to? And, of course, a lot of these business owners that are doing some level of standing up aren't really like, you know, it's not like they're just opening up like they used to. They're always opening with, oh, well, we have social distancing and you've got to do X, Y, and we're cleaning and you have to wear a mask. And like they try to show how they're jumping through all these hoops. They just want to open up their business.
Do you remember that scene from Saving Private Ryan where the German who they managed to capture, he's got to bury his German friends and their one ally that got killed in the battle, and they're deciding whether or not to just shoot the guy in the back of the head after he's dug the hole, and they're like, "Come on over here." And they call him over, and he's like, no, I'm digging. And he continues to dig. Like, that's what it's like for these poor business owners.
Right.
They see these guys coming in who are ready to shoot them in the back of the head because they're going to ruin their business, ruin their lives. They've got to go get real jobs instead of working for themselves. All the money they invested gone down the toilet. And, of course, they're running around scrubbing, trying to clean things up. Well, whatever. I'm killing the virus.
This whole time, they're building up debt, and I mean, profit margins for a restaurant are already incredibly thin. Now you're trying to work at 50 or 25% capacity. That doesn't seem reasonable. And then now we're in a position where if you speak out, you're a bad person, and it's all this social shaming that's going on. A lot of these people probably aren't Trump supporters, and they think that if they do cause a commotion, they're gonna get like pointed out as mega types or something, and and it's like this polarizing position where it's like they have
there's no
choice.
There's no winning. You're right about that, because there's a lot of pandering out there by these businesses to the mask people, the people who are living in fear, the people who apparently a good chunk of the American population, according to one recent poll, would be willing to put goggles on as well as wear masks. So like these people who are so afraid of COVID-19, they'll do anything. It's a huge market segment. And so business owners understandably don't want to turn these folks off. But on the other hand, there's a bunch of people, and I would say probably not as many, who are like a lot of us, who are like, well, yeah, no, we'd rather just live life normally. I don't want to speak for you, Mark. I know you said you like the masks.
I like the masks.
But we just want to live life as we had previously, and risk is important in life, and we'd rather take those risks and enjoy life rather than living in fear. And so business owners want to make as many people happy as they possibly can. In this circumstance, it makes it very, very difficult to do that. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. We got Dave Ridley. He's on our Discord call-in lines. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, sorry, I was not ready since you had not scred my call.
Apologies.
But here I am.
I just presumed you would be sounding good and clear, and you are. So go ahead.
Thanks. I wanted to talk about something that most people probably think doesn't exist, and that is the Chinese Communist Party presence in New Hampshire.
I hadn't thought about that.
So there are these things called Confucius Institutes, and they are basically Mandarin language and culture teaching institutes that get set up at universities around the country. And there has been a fair amount of publicity about it. I just found out about them a couple months ago, I guess. And what it is the Chinese Communist Party has some bureau that organizes these things, and they get universities to agree to these programs. I think some of them do teach history at some universities, but the one in New Hampshire is at the University of New Hampshire in Durham, and they do not, I think, allow them to teach history classes. It's just Mandarin and maybe some culture, is my understanding.
Okay.
So, the way I look at it, I tend to see these kinds of things as advantages rather than disadvantages, because I tend to think in terms of, well, now you've got you can see different ways that this could be turned to your advantage. So if you think about it, these people who run these institutes and whatnot, they may be members of the Chinese Communist Party, but members of the Soviet Communist Party were the ones that helped overthrow the Soviet Union, right? So
were they?
I think it's a chance to. Yeah, it's a chance to. The fact that they're here is a chance to inject them with the virus of freedom, which they take back to Beijing with them.
Yeah, well, what if those people are here because they don't want to be in China anymore? They saw an opportunity to get out and enjoy living in the Western world, and they seized that opportunity.
Well, that's pretty common for just about anybody who leaves China. They don't particularly want to go back.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe they're not really carrying the water for the Communist Party in the first place.
But
maybe
if they're getting a check.
Dave, anything else you want to share about that?
Well, I guess these have become controversial, especially since the COVID crisis, with the Chinese Communist Party making such a mess of that and making it worse than it needed to be. So I think there used to be maybe around 100 or so of these in the United States, and now I think the number is down around 50, if I recall correctly. So these are evaporating relatively fast, and whether that's good or bad, we'll see.
Dave, what do you think they should do? So there's been a number of American citizens and other citizens of other places too, Australia and Great Britain and Singapore and even Hong Kong and places like that the Chinese government disappears. They'll go someplace, or even the Chinese government will just go to where they are, and they will take those people, usually they're captains of industry, and they'll take them back to China, where they will basically sign over their entire business to the Chinese Communist Party. And they do this because they consider these people to be Chinese by their standard, whatever the standard that is. And in many cases, they're certainly not citizens, but in many cases they weren't even born in China. So they might look Chinese, they might be Chinese ethnically, but this is sort of the problem of states and these kind of things. What do you think governments like the United States government or Great Britain or whatever should do in these circumstances when their citizens have been kidnapped and all their property taken?
Well, as with any situation, if we're going to advocate some government action, that government action had better not involve any taxpayer expense, or you're advocating for an act of aggression against taxpayers. Having said that, There are probably many things that governments around the world, including the United States government, could do that make it easier for people to defend themselves from Beijing. And I think the most important thing that they should be doing right now is pressuring U.S. allies close to Beijing, like Taiwan, places that are close physically to Beijing, pressuring them to loosen their gun control laws and allow average people to own heavy weapons. And that is the thing that will help deter a Chinese invasion.
Thank you, Dave, for your call tonight. That's Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. I'm not sure how the average person could put pressure on Chinese government in any way, shape, or form.
I love that idea, though.
Yeah.
Arm the Taiwanese.
Their own government. So if the Taiwan government decided to let Taiwan people own guns, it'd get a lot harder to stage a army, a boots on the ground invasion.
True indeed. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can bring up anything you want. CNN finally admitting that, surprise, grocery prices have been going up dramatically. Why is that? It's Free Talk Live.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Do you want to work from home, get paid, and forward Liberty all at the same time? Free Talk Live is looking for account executives and appointment setters. If you've got a phone, a computer, internet connectivity, initiative, and a belief in the non-aggression principle, you're qualified. Earn up to $85,000 a year full-time, $25,000 a year part-time. Set your own hours, work from home, spread freedom. Join our team and work with one of the biggest leaders in the Liberty movement. Apply now at sales.freetalklive.com. Sales.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to their rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're
Democrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. We're talking about the disappointing business owners out there across the United States who are just doing what they're told obediently until they die, basically. They have been cracked down upon by these governors' orders telling them either they can't do business at all, or if they're eventually allowed to do some business, sorry, you can only do 25% of your previous business, or if you're really lucky, 50% of your previous business. That's what they're telling bar owners and restaurateurs. In some places, bars are just not even allowed to open at all. And somehow they're expected to stay alive. In fact, Cream Pie is his new username in our Discord server. He makes a good point here. He says these restaurants are going to go out of business anyway. Why not fight to the death? They're living on government welfare right now. Maybe they signed paperwork saying they would obey all the pandemic laws to receive the loans. That wouldn't surprise me if that was one of the terms. Like, oh, you want this bailout? Well, you just got to agree to follow all the rules that your governor puts down.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
It's a theory, right? Like I didn't sign any of that paperwork, so I have no idea what it actually said. And I suspect a lot of people didn't read the whole thing, I mean, given that it's government paperwork, it's probably got a dozen plus pages of fine print or something like that. And you got to do it all.
I don't know that I don't know. I mean,
You don't know? Have you ever dealt with the government before?
Usually
there's a ton of fine print.
I got a little bit of this PPP money.
Oh, really?
For Mark Edge Media, and didn't sign any paperwork to get it.
How does that work exactly?
Interesting.
Well, my bookkeeper signed it, so I don't know.
And can your bookkeeper obligate your company to making decisions like that? I mean, is that legal?
I don't know. I don't know any of that.
They cut you the check though, huh?
Well,
congratulations.
It was a loan, and yeah, I mean, it was.
You
a very
don't have
small
employees,
amount.
do you?
I have contractors.
I thought the PPP loans were to keep employees
Originally, they
employed.
were for contractors, and then we had to. So then they changed it. Originally, it was for contractors were fine, and then they changed it to employees only. So we had to give the money back.
Oh, interesting. So you didn't actually get to use it.
Not really, no.
Okay.
Well, what's crazy about this is all these loans these people are getting, most of them are just saving their money because they know that they have no idea what the next 6 months to a year to 2 years is going to look like, right?
But if they save it, then they violate the terms of the loan, and it becomes a loan. If they spend it the way the government tells them to, which has been like...
Then they get to keep it.
You have to spend
Right.
like 70% or 80% on
It's
payroll.
a high percentage, and I thought it was 60, but yeah, some large percentage.
On payroll.
On payroll.
Then you can spend the other 30% or save the other 30, I think, maybe.
So
but
it's just to keep people employed.
That's the idea.
goal.
It's the illusion of employment, right? It's like, oh, I still have my job, even though I'm not allowed to come in because there's nothing to do.
Well, these individuals, they're the ones saving their money, right? And so the thing
I hope
is
so.
that we're not even seeing like real inflation yet. But once the economy starts to get picked back up, like all this money that you got and all this debt, like it's just not gonna. Your dollar's gonna be weaker a year, 2 years, 5 years from now.
It already is,
right? And it already is, and it's dropping across the board. Against
That's
gold,
the thing.
Silver.
I forget.
other
I think it was former co-host Michael Hampton who pointed out the inflation has happened. They already threw the $1 trillion or $2 trillion or $3 trillion into the
like
economy.
$6 trillion, maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who's counting?
Right. There's no way for us to know how much the Federal Reserve sent to banks to shore them up.
So they've already put that money out there. So now that money has to chase the same amount of goods, or arguably even fewer goods. But that money's going to chase the same amount of goods, and therefore the prices of those goods are going to go up. And that's where we come to this next story from CNN. Danielle Wiener-Bronner reporting here that everything at the grocery store is getting more expensive. Surprise! Prices are spiking. They've skyrocketed at grocery stores during the coronavirus pandemic that has Americans spending more at the supermarket than they have in years. probably, I would say, than they ever have, because supermarket prices have just gone up the entire time for the most part over my lifetime.
Right. They don't come down.
No.
I mean, I can't remember the last time where I was like, wow, this is a notable decrease in the price of this thing that I buy at the grocery store.
Doesn't happen.
Outside of maybe electronics.
I will say this. I did find gallons of milk for $2
subsidized
3 or 4 years ago at Aldi's. So this one particular,
you can find them for $1 something at Walmart right now.
That may be the case. I don't know. Milk is
it's subsidized. Milk's a messed up industry because there's a lot of government subsidies and stuff involved in that.
But I had a bunch of piglets at the time, and I needed to get some milk to them. Their mother,
the best thing to do is to look at the size of your grocery cart, the amount of items in it. What can you get for $100?
Yeah.
You don't get as much today for $100 as you did 10 years ago, and certainly not as much as you did 20 or 30 years ago. So that's the easiest way to look at it.
People think that inflation is just a force of nature, when in fact it's done by, your government and the Federal Reserve banking cartel.
One of the biggest roles of the Federal Reserve is to adjust the interest rates.
I was looking as I was driving down one of the main drags here in New Hampshire, in Keene, where we live and do the show from, and I went past the Walgreens, and they got their marquee out, right, where a couple different items and their advertised prices, sale prices, or whatever. And I don't buy soda pop, like I don't drink it for the most part. Every now and then I'll have like a ginger beer, and that's a special occasion. But so I don't buy 6-packs or anything like that.
I've never seen you drink a whole ginger beer either. You always try to split it with somebody,
or I'll split the day. So if I'll save half for later. But anyway, so they had up there a 12-pack of Coca-Cola, which is a pretty popular item in the United States, for $6. And
is that how much it costs?
Yeah, and I was thinking back, I'm like, I remember being in retail in the late 1990s and seeing these things on sale for like $2 or less.
Yeah.
For a 12-pack of soda. So now you're literally paying 50 cents a can in a 12-pack.
I'm surprised.
That's the old, remember, kids, back in the day, we used to pay 50 cents at the actual vending machine.
Right.
That used to be the price. And we knew that was at least like a 2 to 3 time markup from what you were actually paying for the soda.
When I was a kid, you could find some vending machines that would do 40 cents.
There was actually a few of them at Kmart and Walmart where they were doing store brand for 25 cents. In the late 1990s.
Well, that's store brand. Yeah.
But then when you went and you bought the 12-pack, they were only like 12.5 cents. So you knew they were still making double their money.
You got to pay them for the refrigeration and stuff, and the convenience of getting one and all that.
But now, can you find a soda machine for less than $1?
I don't know. I don't buy this stuff.
Me neither, but I do notice every now and then, I'll walk out of a store and I'll see, and it's like $1.25 or
Sometimes,
$2 or $1.50.
If I'm on a road trip, I like to get a root beer. So, and I'll buy that, and those things are between $1.50 and $1.99.
Yeah.
But it's 20 ounces. It's not like the old can. I don't know.
So from February to June, meat and poultry prices rose nearly 11%.
By the way, one of the places that had the bottles, it had bottles that you could get. So you had the old machine where you pulled a bottle out.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you then pop it right there on the side of the machine. It would keep that was 40 cents. I remember that.
When was that? The 80s or the 90s?
It was at the 80s, and it was at a gas station near Booker Elementary in your hometown, Sarasota, Florida.
So again, meat and poultry prices rose 11%, or approximately 11% from February to June, with beef and veal prices seeing the highest rise, spiking 20%. For pork, the increase was about 8.5%, and people are paying more for other staples too. During the same time period, eggs shot up 10%, and shoppers were shelling out 4% more for cereals and fresh vegetables.
Yeah, all animal proteins have gone up, and these are, important staples that people need. Interestingly, I think people are, leaving beef alone a little more and having more pork, chicken, and eggs for meals. At least that's what my observation has been.
They claim the pandemic has caused a surge in demand for groceries as millions of Americans stay home and avoid eating out. While there's no significant shortage of food, disruptions in the supply chain, they claim, have created scarcities and driven up prices. So they're not blaming inflation in this particular story.
They're blaming the change of spending habits.
Because they don't understand the money system. They don't know what's actually going on out there. Now, I'm not saying that the change in spending habits isn't a factor. Surely it is. And certainly the interruptions in the supply chain have caused problems. and have caused temporary, outages and temporary price raises. But the thing is, a lot of these prices are never going to come back down.
Right.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. These may be the lowest prices you'll see in food over the next decade because they'll probably keep going up from here if the continuation of money printing is, full speed ahead. 855-450-FREE. You can join us on the radio. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Survival food alert and a quick heads up. In an emergency situation, there may be a time you need to have an easy to transport, easy to conceal, almost perfect food to survive. You'd want a food that is so nutritionally dense that a couple of tablespoons per day is all you need to live on. And by that, I mean truly living well, staying smart, even strong for extended periods of time. So if you're looking for a standalone, super dense superfood, or you'd just like to protein up your own food supplies, check this out. This superfood has 58 times the bioavailable iron of spinach, chock full of B vitamins, twice the chlorophyll of wheatgrass, 25 times the antioxidant power of carrots, and the phenolic phytonutrient compounds? Well, 31 times more than blueberries, a whopping 700 times more than apples. Go to bluegreenbooster.com, bluegreenbooster.com. Get maximum nutrition with minimum weight and bulk. bluegreenbooster.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial in toll free, bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about grocery prices going up. Even CNN has to admit that that's happening. That's where the story is coming from. With you, by the way, in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Tyler.
And Mark.
Bitcoin.com. Great place to go to learn about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, both of which have had a really good last 30 days. Now, you never know what's going to happen in the future, so I'm not going to make any predictions, but it definitely seems possible that as the government keeps printing out a bunch of money, that the price of things like gold and Bitcoin, these alternatives that have, at least in gold's case, has been a historic hedge against inflation. We were just talking about this during the break about, how's Bitcoin going to compare to gold? Mark, you were saying you would bet better on Bitcoin than you would on gold as far as rising against the dollar.
Yeah, I think that although I think you should have some gold and silver and precious metals and these sorts of things, I think that one of the things about cryptocurrency is there isn't a historical momentum behind price. So, there are people who are out there who bought gold at $200 an ounce, and they're like,
to them, that's what an ounce of gold is worth.
I just can't do it. Yeah. I just can't fork it over.
Because now it's over $2,000 an ounce.
Right. And also there are people out there that are attempting to sell gold for Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So, and vice versa. So you got to kind of ask yourself, hey, do I want to, give up this for that? And when I look at it personally, that wouldn't be what I would be looking to do. I think you should have a certain amount in your portfolio, and it's a good idea to be balanced and diversified and all that good stuff. And I understand that when the internet goes down, my Bitcoins would be worthless. Well,
you can't do much with them.
When the internet goes down, you better be prepared to eat the dog, and your gold may not be that valuable either, because we're not denominating gold in if the internet goes down for 2 months, gold is no longer denominated in dollars, okay? It's denominated in bottles of liquor, 22 long rifles, rolls of toilet paper, or chunks of the family pet that you sell
Just
off.
what I was going to say. And if the system collapses, ammo and vodka are going to be more valuable than gold and Bitcoin.
Right.
Absolutely. And those are things you can actually store pretty effectively.
Right. You need the ammo to protect your daughters from being sold into slavery.
And your vodka.
Right. Well, it's a good idea to protect the vodka, too.
So we were talking about prices. We're going to get back into that coming up here. But check out Bitcoin.com because, you need to start learning about cryptocurrency. It's not going to go away. Odds are it's going to keep going up in value. If the last decade is any indication, obviously past performance isn't an indicator necessarily of the future, but the last month, Bitcoin Cash, when you look at its dollar price, according to Bitcoin Ticker Widget, Bitcoin Cash is up over 27% in just the last month.
How's that performing versus BTC?
So the original Bitcoin is what you're asking about.
Yeah.
That's what BTC is. BTC in dollar terms is up nearly 26%. So pretty much on par.
In parity.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, my guess. Okay, this is not a prediction, and this is not investment advice.
Mm-hmm.
But my guess is that as Bitcoin, BTC,
the original one,
the original thing we call Bitcoin, continues to rise, the transaction costs will continue to go up.
Oh, yeah.
To the point that transaction costs
right
will be $5, $10, $15, $20, $50.
It's already at $5 the last week.
God. So, to do a transaction, you better be doing a good-sized transaction if you want that transaction to cost $5.
Well, it was down yesterday to $4.38 instead of $5.
So
but
when
it's still a ton of money and probably 500 to 1,000 times more than what it should be.
When it's at, it doesn't take much apparently. When it's at $20 a transaction, the neophytes, the noobs, the people who are getting into cryptocurrency the first time, who've gone to Bitcoin.com and taken a look at the videos, like I've said, and they're going to say, I better check out some of the other alternatives. And, some of those other alternatives, one of them is Bitcoin Cash, and it's, the transaction costs for that, I've never seen them be more than 2 cents. And
yeah, that's a high one for Bitcoin Cash. 2
that
cents.
would be a big transaction cost.
Last time I did one, it was like less than half a cent.
Right.
I think.
And I think that people will probably come to the conclusion that they're interested in the alts, the altcoins, Bitcoin Cash being chief among them, one of the chiefs among them. And they will say, maybe I'll just go with these. this is better. This is fine by me. And they'll go with that. At which point I think the alts will begin to take off.
Which is what happened in 2017 when the same thing happened. And when the Bitcoin price shot up to a record $20,000.
Then you will see the alts just eclipse Bitcoin as far as value. What you could make for you to invest them.
I gotta agree with you.
I didn't say what's that.
I gotta agree with you. I don't think that's going too far out on a limb. I mean, you're basically saying the same thing that happened in 2017 is going to happen again, and there's no reason why it wouldn't, because the Bitcoin programmers haven't fixed Bitcoin. They haven't made it so it can handle a ton of transactions. They haven't increased its network bandwidth, if you will.
If you listen to the Bitcoin maximalist guys, they'll be like, well, we'd be worth so much more if it wasn't for all these altcoins. And I understand. Yes, that sounds like an accurate statement. But the reason that people created altcoins was because they were getting what they felt to be bad customer service from the original Bitcoin. They didn't want an investment vehicle. They wanted
cash.
They wanted digital cash. They wanted smart contracts. They wanted all kinds of things that we've been talking about from the very beginning. And
Bitcoin dragged its feet and didn't do it right.
If I may remind everybody in the community, here on Free Talk Live, we talked about Bitcoin. We talked about things like anonymity, which Bitcoin kind of had early on. It was pseudonymity, but you kind of had it.
It still kind of has that. But it's not anonymity.
I understand, but you have a lot less. Now people are saying, well, we think X number of people have X number of Bitcoins, and they're looking at transactions. They're running computers through transactions.
Well, they figured out how to do
We were also talking about on the air, and I think this is most important, we were talking about people being able to do microtransactions.
Yep, that's right.
What if you could hear a podcast and say, I like that, blink, and you could give somebody a dime, like an amount of money that would be so inconsequential to you that it would, whatever, blink, there's a dime. Or you read an article, and I love it, here's a nickel. Here's a post on media, I think it's so awesome, here's a quarter. Whatever.
You could have done that 10 years ago or 7 years ago.
People were doing it with Bitcoin, but now there's no way you could do it with BTC, but you could still do it with Bitcoin Cash.
You can still do it with every other cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I think average Americans need to start tuning in to not only like cryptocurrencies, but just big data. Those are two areas I think that normal people don't realize, that the more you know about it, the more valuable these things are to you. Like, having all these alt currencies, like a lot of people still don't even know what Bitcoin really is or how it functions, let alone that there's literally dozens of altcoins out there that
it's
have
actually
a lot of
probably thousands now.
Thousands,
and the last
time
he
was saying that have a potential.
Oh, they have potential. Well, they all have potential. Okay, whether or not any of them will realize that potential in any sort of meaningful long-term way, because whenever you look at the altcoins, or whenever you look at the top list, you go to say CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and you look and see what are the top 10. Well, go back in time another 2 years or 4 years or 6 years and look at the top 10 then. It's a totally different top 10. So what was in the top 10 2 years ago, with the exception of a few, like Bitcoin Cash is still there, and there's, Ethereum is still...
How old? Bitcoin Cash is only 3 years old.
That's right. Yeah. But if you go back 2 years, it was still in the top 10. But a lot of them, like Dash, for instance, it was up to number 5 at one point. It's now at like 25.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's constantly there's a changing out the competition. There's new coins coming out.
Not to say that Dash may not, crawl its way back up. We don't know.
It could rise again. I mean, Dash is on the way up too. A lot of these alternatives,
I've been watching it right now,
are also on the way up. So, if you want to comment, you can join us. Let's go to Tom. He's in Hudson, New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
One milestone, one benchmark that was reached today in the price of gold. You see, in 1933, just before they were confiscating and ordering everybody to turn in all their gold, they were ordering them to turn it in for the official rate, which was $20.67 a troy ounce. That was the official value in U.S. dollars of gold prior to the 1933 confiscation.
Wow.
And then they devalued those dollars to $35 for an ounce of gold, so they ripped people off 40-something% of their money. But now, today, it passed $2,067, which means that a U.S. dollar is worth as much gold as a penny was worth in 1933 before.
So it's a factor of 100. is
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
a
saying.
factor of 100. And
Well observed, Tom. The toll-free number, thank you for the call tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Dollars worth what pennies used to be.
And, of course, now it costs, what, 3 or 4 cents to manufacture a penny?
What a crap currency. God.
Yeah.
The only thing worse, every other government currency.
It's true. And you can join us coming up in hour 2. This is Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
More help to fight crime. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Justice Department will be sending agents to St. Louis and Memphis in an expansion of what's been dubbed Operation Legend. The announcement coming as Acting Homeland Security Chief Chad Wolf was on Capitol Hill defending the presence of federal agents in Portland. Wolf defending the response by the agents to violent protesters.
Put simply, DHS and DOJ officers, law enforcement officers, civil law enforcement officers, were abandoned due to the dangerous policies by local officials. The cooperation and assistance our federal officers received in any other city around the country did not exist in Portland.
Wolf says the federal agents will remain in Portland until they're sure the federal courthouse is safe from attack. Before heading to Ohio this afternoon, President Trump took a swipe at Joe Biden over his trade policies.
Joe Biden's policies put China first and America last, and that's what he'll continue to do if he ever got this shot.
The president was in Clyde, Ohio, where he toured a Whirlpool plant. He also announced he signed a proclamation reimposing 10% tariffs on some Canadian aluminum products to, as he put it, protect the U.S. industry. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, though, warns the tariffs will raise costs for U.S. companies. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine was supposed to be on hand to greet the president when he landed this afternoon, but he has tested positive for COVID-19. His diagnosis was made as part of a routine check for anyone who was to be in close contact with the president. His office says he has no symptoms, but he returned to Columbus before the president landed. An armed man who took 6 people hostage in a bank in northern France has surrendered to police after releasing his captives. Wall Street at the close. All 3 major indexes ended the day in positive territory. The Dow gained 185, the Nasdaq plus 109, the S&P added 21 points. America is listening to Fox News.
The last few months have taught us what's important in life. It's also taught us what we need to eliminate or change. It's the same for business. What are the changes you need to make? Do you have a hairball of multiple software systems when you could streamline with one? All you need is NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. Finance, HR, inventory, e-commerce, everything you need, all in one place so you save time, money, and headaches. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in sales, NetSuite gives you visibility and control so you can manage every penny with precision. Join over 20,000 companies who trust NetSuite to go faster with confidence. NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business.
Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Get your free guide and schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Another week of more than 1 million Americans filing jobless claims, but there are signs of hope.
The Labor Department has released its latest reading on the job market, and though the losses are still huge, more than 1 million a week are losing their jobs, the numbers show an improvement from the previous week. There were 1.18 million people filing for unemployment benefits for the first time last week. Economists were expecting 1.4 million new claims. New claims have remained over 1 million a week, though down from the peak of 6.9 million in late March. The persistent high levels suggest companies are still laying off workers in high numbers. The Labor Department's monthly employment report is released Friday morning. Jenny Cosola, Fox News.
Social media app reveals a bug turned up negative content about a presidential candidate.
Instagram disables its related hashtag feature, saying a technical error led to the promotion of negative content about presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. When a user searches for a hashtag on the platform, it directs them to similar content. Research done by the Tech Transparency Project, shared with BuzzFeed, reveals searches for pro-Trump hashtags brings up positive posts, but searches for pro-Biden content directs users to negative hashtags, including hashtag creepy Joe Biden. Instagram slamming BuzzFeed's report for suggesting this was partisan, tweeting, "This isn't about politics. Tens of thousands of hashtags were affected." Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Placido Domingo's back in Europe to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award after recuperating from COVID-19 in Mexico, and the opera star is vowing to clear his name after multiple accusations of sexual misconduct. He told an Italian newspaper his illness made him no longer afraid to speak out about the allegations that were first reported by the Associated Press. The allegations led to the cancellations of several concerts in the U.S., but his concert schedule in Europe remains full. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
A new trend in offices across the country, more and more people are switching to fetal position desks so that they can curl up in a ball on the floor while they work. Aaron Vaughn has a story.
The human body isn't meant to sit at a desk for 6 or 7 hours. The natural position, especially in the workplace, is to shut down completely, return to a womb-like state, and rock back and forth to soothe yourself.
Fetal position desks, which are even popping up in offices like Google and Facebook, come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some have adjustable height so you can cower underneath them, while more expensive options include a warm, pulsating blanket for workers to wrap themselves in to feel calm. But many people are making their own.
I've rigged this up so I can type comfortably and my arms won't get tired. Plus, it's got speakers so I can listen to a comforting voice saying shh over and over again.
I've tried a fetal position desk myself, and I can say it's a great way to get through the f***ing day.
Thanks, Aaron. I hate my job.
This is the Onion News Network.
We have to do something. I just think people's guards are being let down.
Free Talk Live.
Months pass and this continues, and we have to be preventative and not reactionary. So, thank you.
This is, by the way, Free Talk Live. You're hearing audio from the city council meeting going on here in Keene, New Hampshire, where they are preparing to vote on a mask mandate proposal.
A lot of pointed negativity in a lot of the comments that came forward, but a lot of good comments, a lot of discussion by a cross-section of the community and the area. I, too, have been wearing a mask every day. I happen to be out and about today in a number of different places. And
this is one of the city councilors.
Compliance.
A geriatric?
Widespread compliance And I'm very happy that we passed the resolution last time around.
He's a former police chief.
Assure that ordinance is going to be in the best interest of our community. I think that we've got good compliance. I think we're covering a lot of it, but I don't think it's going to cover those parties that are going to begin to happen. I think it covers businesses, and businesses are compliant. And I'm not going to be supporting it as it stands today.
So he's saying it's not going far enough. This particular character, Thomas Powers, local city councilor, former cop, he's saying he doesn't think the proposal that's on the table, which will mandate masks inside any business or outside any business, basically, in anywhere where business is going on, masks would be required, and the business owners would be the ones who would be on the hook for paying fines for noncompliance. So if an individual walks into the business...
Yeah, they love making businesses unpaid enforcers.
Right, that's what they're planning on doing with this one. So this guy is saying that's not enough. We need to ban parties, basically, because the college students are coming back.
To tell you when to stop. Common courtesy tells you if there's another car, you stop for it. But just to regulate the activity of traffic, it's safety. You don't need speed limits if you drive sanely. But for the common good, speed limits are there, and there's a reason for it. It's good. Ultimately, if you don't want to wear a mask, you're not going to wear a mask, no matter what ordinance we have.
Damn right.
That's right.
We're not going to have the mask police running around. I really don't think there's going to be all that much.
They will have the mask police.
Well,
once they pass an ordinance, they'll have a mask police.
Yeah.
That's what they do with speeding. Like, if you don't want to follow a speeding law, they're going to knock you off the road, pull you out, and shove your face in the dirt. Is that what you want for your recalcitrant Republican uncle? I mean, I don't know. Is that what you want?
What I think is hilarious is that this idea that we're going to stop parties in order to do this, right? And I'm hoping that the first time that the cops come to break up some party because of COVID reasons, that whoever threw the party is going to sue the city for a constitutional violation of their First Amendment right.
I wish they would.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I've lived in this town for, almost 15 years at this point, and I've seen so many violations of the students here and their rights, and I've done what I can to try to, to inform them of their rights. I'm out there every year with Know Your Rights information, and I think it does help. It does help make them more aware that they do have rights and that they can exercise those rights. It makes them more aware that they can record the police. So I think that overall it's been a good outreach project, but when it really comes down to it, whenever somebody's really targeted or really hurt by the police, there was one situation that I can remember in particular. If you look at the Free Keene channel, it's a video called Alpha Dogs, and it's about the cops on I think it was the night of the Pumpkin Fest riots here in Keene. After the riots had basically quieted down, the cops had gotten the whole place basically under control. It was probably 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. or something like that. It was pretty late in the evening at this point when I was recording this video, and there was just this phalanx of state police that were out in front of there's a little convenience store on the corner. It's actually it takes cryptocurrency now, but this convenience store is where all the college kids go to when it's party time or they're late night and they just want to get a snack or whatever.
It's not too far.
Yeah, it's right there. And so 3 young guys were walking up towards the convenience store, and this pack of wild police starts shouting at them, like, get back, and like as though there's some sort of danger or whatever. There was absolutely nothing going on except this huge thronging mass of cops just standing around looking for something to do, and they zero in on these guys and just take them down.
Oh, wow.
In a way that was completely unnecessary and entirely, beyond the level of violence that would have been called for. They weren't resisting or anything like that. It was just a total takedown of these 3 skinny kids, that were just trying to go to the convenience store. And I happened to get it all on video. So we had video of, incontrovertible proof.
And to point out, they also asked you for video of all kinds of things that went on during the event. As the press, you were out there.
You mean the police?
The riots.
That's not where I was going to go with this story.
I know. I'm just pointing it out that not only are you collecting video on the cops, breaking the law, but you're collecting video on the rioters too. That's
true.
what the press does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was able to reach out to these guys and let them know that the video existed. And then I actually at one point did have one of them had lawyered up and had, and they were going to go to court. They were going to take this to court. They were going to sue. They were going to not go with guilty. And this attorney was like, he wanted a copy of the video. And it was like, all right, we got something here. This kid's going to stand up for himself. And at the very, last minute, mom and dad or whoever it was or somebody convinced him to just go ahead and take the plea deal, and the lawsuit was off the table. So every time there's been just like this undeniable, clear-cut case of, wrong on the part of the police with the college students, mom and dad just come in there like, no, we don't want you to get in trouble. This could go wrong. You should just take the plea deal. It's a nice deal, son. Go ahead and take the deal. And it's over.
Yeah, but I feel like anytime you want to take on the government in court, isn't it like 90-something% of people that end up going to court with the government end up losing?
Yeah.
And of those 90%, like 98% of them end up just taking the plea deal because you're taking on...
Yeah, most of them take a plea deal first up, and then the rest that go in actually end up losing in many cases.
If we're talking about criminal, the numbers, 90% is extraordinarily generous. The vast majority of cases of arrests and charges that are brought never see a courtroom, to the point that it's like 99 point, and it's probably 9 something beyond that. I can't really get a good number beyond 99%. Never make it to a courtroom, but 99% don't make it.
Speaking of lawsuits, let's go to John. He's calling from Grafton, New Hampshire. John, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hey, John.
So I filed a notice of intent to sue, and I filed that on Wednesday. And that's what you have to do when you're about to sue the government.
Okay.
So that's step one.
And for what are you suing them?
Well, civil harassment, civil and criminal deprivation of civil rights under color of law under state and federal law. Description of harassment: detaining and arresting, holding up to public ridicule, encumbering and pecuniary loss for supposed illegal, quote, driving, end quote, which is protected traveling instead as enumerated below. Principal relief sought: mandamus against future and continued harassment of the type set forth herein. Additional relief as approved by the court.
So you're suing just to clarify, John, you're suing the town of Grafton, the county of Grafton.
The town of Grafton.
Just the town.
And the state of New Hampshire.
And the state. And this is over freedom to travel, meaning you're someone who travels with no license, no registration.
Right.
Okay. And you've been ticketed, I presume. Have you gone to jail for those things?
Many times in the past, but I'm tired of it. So
I really hope this works out for you.
Pardon me?
I really hope this works out for you.
So, I mean, I've never filed a lawsuit like this before. Is it you always have to file an intent, or don't you just normally just file the suit?
No. You have to file an intent. You have to notify them that you're going to.
Interesting. I can tell you, they didn't notify me that they were going to sue me when they sued the Robin Hooders. We just got the lawsuit together.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? They have it stacked their way, don't they?
Sure.
Anyhow, I'm looking for a class, and anybody I'm going to advertise on Facebook, I guess, looking for class members who are likely like situated, not necessarily exactly situated, but like situated. And
so would anybody in anywhere within the boundaries of the state of New Hampshire geography, would they qualify for this?
Yes, absolutely.
How do people reach you, John?
Well,
hold that thought. We'll get back to it with you here in just a moment.
Mojo would swallow things whole. A chicken carcass, a bird nest, and assorted stones and sticks. After surgery, Mojo had skin issues. He was constantly itching and scratching, chewing the hair right off of his legs.
DINOVITE.com.
On the Dynovite, all of these symptoms disappeared.
Dynovite is nutrition.
If you love your dog, you need to put him on Dynovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you can dial in toll-free, and you can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, we'll talk about Los Angeles targeting parties and threatening to shut off their water and their power to any homes where a good time is being had. But unfortunately, Mark, you were going to be having a good time in Dallas this weekend starting today. You should have been there by now, but unfortunately, the Dallas mayor has decided to force the Young Americans for Liberty convention that was scheduled for this weekend to not happen. And they literally made this announcement. This just happened, 4 days ago or 3 days ago. It was right before the event was going to start, and so that has sadly been forced to have been canceled. Brandon Borka, who is the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Young Americans for Liberty, asks, quote, why are violent protests being allowed to happen but peaceful YAL events are being shut down? You can learn more over at yaliberty.org. That's Young Americans for Liberty, yaliberty.org. Sad news, but not exactly unsurprising at this point. We're going to go back to John. He's in Grafton, New Hampshire, filing or preparing to file a lawsuit that you say you'd like to be a class action suit, John. You are a freedom to travel activist, somebody who believes, and I'm right along with you on this, that you don't need to ask permission to get yourself safely from point A to point B in a car. And you're tired of being targeted by the police. You are planning to sue the city or the town of Grafton, which is a very small town in New Hampshire, and also the entire state of New Hampshire's government gang in this case. You're looking for potential class action folks to join you on this. So what would someone have to be or do or believe in order to, have standing to be a part of this class action suit? Oh, do we have
for not having a driver's license or an expired driver's license or a lot of other things, burned out light bulbs, a lot of seat belts, anything what they mandamus us. There's no constitutional power for a government to tell you what to do, like wear a mask, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And but anybody who's in the driver's license and registration area, or in some states, insurance. But anyhow, I posted the entire thing on the Dick Marple thread on Free Keene.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm not sure which thread that would be. There's been a few articles about Dick Marple. He's a former state representative who passed away, sadly, I think late last year, who was really a freedom to travel activist. He actually hadn't paid property taxes on his property, and the state was coming after him for that. So the guy really did put his beliefs where his mouth was, and was an incredible inspiration. Here's what I'd recommend. Hop on the Shire Society forums over at forum.shiresociety.com. That way you can create a thread that's just about this, and you can direct people over there. And since it's a private forum, it's not subject to the control of like a Facebook or some other evil mega corporation. So I'd recommend doing that. You do have to post an introductory thread just to prove to the forum that you're not like a spam bot or something. And then
I think I got on Shire about 10 years ago.
Okay, you may still have to post another, because we've upgraded the forum software since then, so you may still have the account there, but you may have to post a new introduction. But check that out when you get a chance, and keep us informed here, will you, John, as you file this suit and all the details on how it's going, will you?
Sure. Well, like I said, I filed the two things I needed to do, informing the town of Grafton and the Attorney General of the state of New Hampshire.
Excellent.
So that's preliminary that you must do.
Well, keep us in the loop. Let us know how this develops, and I appreciate your call and the time here tonight. And it's also something that would be interesting to go and watch. If they actually let people into courtrooms anymore, which they don't.
Yeah.
At this point. In fact, there's going to be the very first trial here in New Hampshire coming up in our very own Cheshire County. It's coming up in about 2 weeks from today. So there literally has not been a trial since this COVID
Is it civil
thing.
Or criminal?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
There was a whole article in the newspaper that we actually read on the air. I don't know if you're here on that night, Mark, but we shared the details about exactly how they're rearranging the courtroom, and there's barely going to be anyone who's able to attend these things from the public.
It's quite possible that there won't be a single seat for some uninvolved public member to go to a court case.
That's right. That's what their plan is.
That seems like a bad precedent, because we're probably not going to come back from that even after COVID. There's
That's
like,
the thing.
Yeah, no, we
like it this
here.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these people, this riffraff.
We like it when you don't have any way to actually show your discontent by, I don't know, not standing for the judge when the judge comes into the room, which we've done historically a myriad of times here in Cheshire County as activists. Let's go to Joe. He's in Michigan. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live, watching on YouTube. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. We're talking about these mask mandates and all that, and I'm going to bet that if there's a vaccine, they're going to mandate that. I almost guarantee it.
Oh, you betcha.
Are you going to get it?
Not anti-vax, but on principle, if they mandate it, I'll say no. But they're already putting checkpoints and stuff up in New York City. I've seen that on the news. What's to say? Well, if you don't have your vaccine, you can't get on a plane, or you can't cross state lines or whatever, or have something, in that little magnetic strip on the back of your license.
That's what they're going to do. Yeah, I mean, they're going to create incentives for you to get the vaccine. Oh, we're not forcing it on you. We're just not letting you leave until you get it.
I think
you can't leave your state. You can't. Good luck crossing a toll bridge or a toll road or whatever.
I'd say
it's
start watching for it for European travel. Right now, Americans can't travel to Europe at all. Like, you just can't go.
I heard Trump was rescinding the travel restrictions. Or was that a European travel restriction on the Americans?
Right.
I'm not European. Gotcha. I'm not traveling to the United States.
Yeah.
So look for Europe to expect this vaccine. And when the the restrictions will be lifted, but only if you can show some kind of proof that either A, you've had it, or you got your little COVID card, and whatever that COVID card is that says you're super safe and everything's fine, then you would be able to travel or whatever. But otherwise, nope. And then the circles will get concentrically smaller around you. That would be my guess. If the fear continues.
You want to enter a government building, show your IDs, swipe it. You got all your little like in East Germany during the Cold War, you got your papers with you.
Show us your papers, please. Yep.
Well, the teachers, they can't even get the teachers to go back to school right now. So, I mean, they're going to have to, from the standpoint of sort of labor relations, they're going to have something that they put in place. Otherwise, middle-class welfare, babysitting day prisons won't be able to open up the way that they had been previously. That's what I'm for, too.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Teachers and government employees, they haven't missed a beat, man. They're not getting laid off. They're not.
Oh, no.
Well, it's all the unions, too. And, I'm not anti-vaxxer either, but you're talking about a vaccine that got pushed in a 6-month window for a disease or a virus that we've never made a vaccine before. Right. Now, all of a sudden, not only that, but if you get some kind of reaction, you can't sue these companies that are making the vaccine.
They are completely immune from that. And they even announced, and thank you, Joe, great call, appreciate it. Apparently these companies have even announced that the COVID is not penetrative enough within the population. There aren't enough cases, that are deadly or whatever, to where they could even tell if their vaccines would be effective. So
it's magic.
Yeah, just roll the dice and hope this concoction will help you.
Bippity boop, alakazam,
Yep.
you're healed. News from news.bitcoin.com. Another 83 tons in fake gold found in China. Crypto still much harder to counterfeit. Host Stefan Molyneux banned from YouTube. Receives $100,000 in crypto donations afterward. Reporters uncover $11 trillion in offshore government-sanctioned bank accounts. Bitcoin Cash still potentially private and unconfiscatable. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. DIVI project.org.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in here and take control of the airwaves. Our number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, quarantine checkpoints now hitting New York City starting yesterday. We'll tell you more about that on the way. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Tyler.
And Mark.
Want to make sure you know about AnyPay. If you're looking to help businesses in your area get set up to accept Bitcoin Cash and Dash, AnyPay can make that happen for you, and it's super easy. All you have to do is download the AnyPay Cash Register app. Now, you can do this yourself. Try it on your phone or your tablet device and get it set up and, see how easy it is to get this thing rolling. All you got to do is drop your cryptocurrency addresses in the back end in the settings page, and then you're ready to accept crypto. It's really that simple. It's super fast to get this thing rolling. If you ever set up like a credit card system, that takes days, if not weeks, and approvals and applications and hoop jumping. And here it's like download an app, plug in your addresses, you're done. I mean, if you've already got a crypto wallet, like an Edge wallet or a multi-crypto wallet of some sort, like Exodus wallet, you're already halfway done with this. It's super fast. Go to anypayinc.com. You can learn more about AnyPay there. And if you want to help local businesses get set up with this, once you're familiar with how AnyPay works, you can help local business owners do it, and then you can become an AnyPay ambassador, and you get a passive income. It's not a huge amount, but it's consistent. It keeps coming in with every transaction. You get paid from the Bitcoin Cash and Dash purchases, thanks to AnyPay. Get the AnyPay Cash Register app, the Google and Apple app stores. They just released version 2.0 with the new dark mode, because, dark mode, some people are really into having that instead of an all-white background. You get a dark blue or black background. Looks nice. So you get choices now with AnyPay. It's the AnyPay Cash Register app. As we go back to a little bit more here from the Keene City Council in the southwest corner of New Hampshire, they're debating or talking about what they're going to do here in moments, which is vote on a mask mandate.
Good to know. Thank you, Patty. That's why I have Patty here.
That's
one
the
of the many
city
reasons.
clerk.
Are you all set, Councilor Giacomo, or do you want to make some comments?
No, I'd love to make a comment. I'm hearing a lot of good rationale here, and some other rationales for voting against this. And
people disagree with me.
I thought we just went through this whole spiel during the original ordinance that we are not Dover, we are not Nashua, we are not any of these, we're not Durham. We sure as heck aren't Vermont. We're not Maine. We're not New Hampshire.
Oh, God. We're not New Hampshire.
Why are we trying to compare what we're doing here in Keene to their ordinances? This is our ordinance. And right now we have our transmission rates, whether they've gone up or down. Yes, there were more cases this past week, mostly in senior homes. And I don't disagree that this is absolutely a pandemic that we need to have mask controls in place.
Oh my God.
However, we need to look at what the what the data is telling us. I understand human behavior is a science to its own. However, people have been eliciting human behavior for the last 4 months of this pandemic, and that's the data that goes into saying outdoors is incredibly safe compared to indoors.
Agreed.
It is, the transmission rates are remarkably low. I can count on a couple fingers how many spread events there have been worldwide that have been tracked outdoors. It's not just it's less likely, it is exceedingly less likely, between 20 and 100 times less likely outdoors. Combine that with our lack of population density, I just don't think that there's a reason why we would try to make all of outdoor space at businesses part of this amendment.
Okay, so he's saying this current proposal that they're looking at to consider passing tonight goes too far, according to this person, although other counselors have said it doesn't go far enough. This one says it goes too far. He says, well, masks mandate, it's fine with him, but it only can be indoors. It shouldn't be outdoors. That's what this guy is saying here.
Oh, so by this amendment, a mask would not be required to shop for the same merchandise. I think the whole discussion about inside, outside is a good reason. If you don't want to vote for the ordinance and you don't believe in the science and the math, the masks and COVID, vote against it. I really think, I don't see the, I'm sorry, Counselor, I don't see the amendment. And whenever you're ready, Your Honor, in terms of calling the question, I think we're probably ready to vote.
Ooh. Okay. Do we have any other comments or questions?
There's, by the way, a planned mask freedom event that's going to happen in just over a week.
Councilor Hooper, start us off with your name and your vote.
Councilor Hooper votes no.
Councilor Remy, yes.
Councilor Manwaring, no.
Councilor Giacomo, yes.
Councilor Filio, no.
I think they're voting on an amendment.
No. Philip Jones, no.
Gladys Johnson, no.
Barry Clark, no.
Councilor Ormerod, no.
Councilor Workman, no.
Councilor Greenwald, no.
Okay. So there's a lot of people voting no on this. I think that what the proposal was, just sort of in and out of this this conversation they've been having, I believe that one of the last speakers who was talking about how the mask shouldn't be mandated outdoors had proposed a final amendment to the proposal that is on the table for the night, and the counselors just basically shot that down.
The amendment does not pass.
Yep, that was what it was.
Brings us back to the main motion.
Well, this is the actual ordinance proposal.
-A.
So the amendment would have made it less strict.
Gotcha.
Councilor Giacomo.
Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you, everyone, for considering my amendment. This is just something I wanted to make sure is out there because a lot of the commentary we heard was really around a couple general themes. And I want to kind of put some of that to rest. So I've heard many hours of comments from the public, read dozens of emails, and spoken to dozens more on the streets and online. And through this, a few trends have emerged for those who oppose a city ordinance. The strongest trend and the one with the most momentum is the argument that a mask ordinance violates a citizen's rights.
Sure does.
At face value, this seems completely legitimate, and it's a worrisome claim. The government's role is not to nanny us. It's not to tell us how to live our lives or to legislate common sense. So I spent the last 3 weeks deciding my vote for tonight, including the amendment. Sorry. And balancing both the political philosophy of rights and responsibilities with public safety. So in 1859, the famous British political philosopher John Stuart Mills wrote one of the most influential political books
Remember
of all
that part
time,
about not liking
On Liberty.
that you wouldn't want to watch the sausage being made?
An idea known
That's
as
kind
the
of how I'm
harm
feeling.
principle. To quote, that principle is that only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others. His own good, either physical or moral, is not a sufficient warrant. So if the function of a mask was to protect the wearer from harm, in this case a disease, then by this principle the government should not have the authority to legislate mask wearing. But that's not why we wear masks. And herein lies
that's what
the
they
logical
say, at
disconnect
least.
that I struggled with.
I got to say, I disagree. I think that the individual's rights are supreme, and I don't care what these politicians say and what their doctor pets say that justify their continued violence against us. But I am completely against any kind of mandate.
Well, I'm against it too. But this is the rule book. I mean, he's correct in rolling out. This is sort of the rule book, and you should have good reason if doing this, and I'm sure that the people on one side feel they have good reason, and people on the other side feel they don't.
To put it in perspective, too, the entire county of Cheshire has only had 2, maybe 3 deaths since this started, and we're talking about a mask mandate.
And what age were these people is what my next question would be. Are they over the average age of death in the United States? Because that's kind of the result of life, is at some point or another you're going to die. If you're making it to the average age of death, then I don't know. Seems okay.
All right, so we may check back in here and see if these fools have... it sounds like they're going to pass this thing, and just based on the number of people who shot down the amendment, which would have made it less restrictive, meaning that if that amendment had passed and then the ordinance had passed, it would have been mask mandate inside businesses but not outside. But the proposal now is that it be both outside and inside businesses. 855 450 free like freedom. As I said, there is a protest scheduled for next Saturday here in Keene, New Hampshire. Whether or not this thing passes tonight, it's Free Talk Live.
Attention listeners interested in food supplies. If you've ever wanted to create an endless, crash-proof stockpile of survival food and do it with very little money, pay close attention. This could be a game changer, because the cost-effective do-it-yourself secrets survival food companies won't tell you about are available. Learn all about them at foodshortageusa.com. Check this out. The economic disruption that's occurred in the last 6 months is going to have consequences. Big ones, especially when it comes to food. The availability of food, as well as the inevitable rising prices, which always get passed on to the consumer. The fact is, hyperinflation has huge implications for food and food prices. Smart listeners, you should begin bracing for impact. The good news? There's still time to learn how to get all your garden vegetables into your pantry, stored away, just in case. Learn how at foodshortageusa.com. That's foodshortageusa.com.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-900-8407. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-900-8407. That's 1-800-900-8407. 1-800-900-8407.
According to a groundbreaking study on anxiety disorders published this week in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers have discovered that feelings of anxiety can be completely resolved as long as people think about them real hard.
After studying subjects with mild to chronic anxiety disorders, we found that the best way to overcome mental stress is to isolate the root of the anxiety, analyze it from every possible angle, and then think about it nonstop until it completely disappears.
Researchers worked with numerous subjects in the middle of high-stress scenarios and said the key to overcoming anxiety is to start by focusing on a minor problem, list everything that can go wrong in the worst-case scenario, and then repeat that list in your head 200 times. After anywhere between 3 to 6 hours of perpetually torturing yourself over things outside of your control, all feelings of anxiety will completely disappear, and you can finally enjoy the remainder of your day.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We are watching a sausage being made here live in the studio. We've got the video feed coming out of the Keene City Council, who doesn't have real city council meetings anymore in that they don't all go to a room into which the average person is allowed to go. Now you have to watch on a jittery feed from Zoom, which has, I don't know, roughly 15 participants in it right now as they are deciding on whether or not to pass a mask mandate. We'll sample the audio again coming up here in a moment just to see what these city councilors are saying. What are they saying to justify how they're going to vote on this proposal to mandate masks being worn within the city limits of Keene, inside and around, outside all businesses, anywhere business is being transacted. And that's because they are targeting business owners here. They are going after the business owners because, well, they've got licenses. They've got
the easy way to go, right?
Yeah, they've got a physical location. They have an established presence, and they are the point of pressure onto which it's easy for the government to use as a fulcrum.
They know better than to just pass a mask mandate, enforced by the police straight up, because the activists here in Keene, New Hampshire, would be out in front of City Hall, marching around without masks on, and then they'd be like, "Oh, we don't want to do anything about that."
Yeah, because we're going to take it to trial if you ticket us.
And then. So what they want to do is they want to go after, want to foist it off over on the businesses. Hey, you want to be open? You want to feed your family? You want to continue to have a nice life? Tell you what, take care of our problems for us.
Yep.
So now
you get to be an unpaid enforcer for their ordinance.
Right.
And if you don't enforce it, they will take money from you.
It's just despicable.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have these cops for with their unions and their big pay and their pensions and all that stuff for, if it isn't to enforce laws? Well, it is to enforce laws. It's to enforce laws on hapless business owners who are trying to make a living so they can pay their taxes. It's disgusting.
It absolutely is. So let's check back here and see what they are yammering about. They're still going.
Very best through all her retirement years.
Oh, they're done with it.
Further resolved that a copy of this
Okay, so we must have missed the actual vote on this. Somebody, I'm sure, was watching at home, and we will hopefully find out before the end of our show here tonight. So they've moved on past that particular portion of the city council meeting. So we'll find out for you how that went. Either way, there is expected to be some sort of a protest that's going to be happening. There was one that happened up in another town here in New Hampshire called Plymouth, which is another university town or college town, more of a northern town in New Hampshire. And the same group that put the Plymouth protest together is going to be doing one here in Keene. So we're going to see hopefully a fairly large number of folks coming out. They said that gubernatorial candidate Karen Testerman, who is challenging the current governor, the incumbent in the primary, and also Nobody, one of our co-hosts, are both expected to speak at the upcoming event. So that's going to be fun. So we're looking forward to seeing that happen. But the idea behind this event was to do a mask freedom event, essentially. Like, the idea isn't to say that they're against masks, but to say that they're against mandatory masks, allowing people to make their own choices for themselves. So that will proceed whether or not the city council voted for it tonight. And I'm just going to guess they did vote for it based on the large number of people who shot down the sort of the amendment that was proposed earlier. I think they all probably voted for this thing, so we'll see. I'd love to be wrong.
It's certainly one committee.
Yeah, but given the committee, it was 5-0, the vote in favor of this. So it was unanimous out of the committee. We'll keep you informed about that. But luckily, Keene has not gone as far as New York City, where Noah Higgins-Dunn reporting from CNBC that New York City is now set up quarantine checkpoints. They have set them up at key entry points along.
Trying to figure out what a quarantine checkpoint is.
Well, you know what a checkpoint is, right?
Yep, that's when they stop you and detain you without reasonable, articulable suspicion.
You got stopped at one down in Texas, didn't you?
Right. I mean, the first thing to ask if you are stopped by police is am I being detained? Mm-hmm. And then they will say that, well, no. At which point you say, then I'm free to go. At which point they'll say no, so I'm being detained.
Right.
At which point they'll say no, right? Because they get into this loop where they don't know what to do.
Sometimes they'll just say you are being detained.
Well, in which case you then ask them, do you have reasonable, articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime? Because these C students in high school did have to take a few hours of criminal justice, or maybe they took a couple of years. I don't know what they took, but they learned reasonable, articulable suspicion. And then once they, say, well, yes, I've got it, then you ask them to articulate it, and then you go in a little roundy rosy, and some point or another they give up and they let you go.
But make sure you have video, because
it's a good idea.
You want to have this on video in case they decide to, bust your window in and pull you through your window, because they've done that before to people who were sort of refusenicks.
Governor Cuomo was just quoted the other day saying something like, we have to pray that the rich don't leave New York. And that he's willing to buy them all a drink. And it's and then we're doing
this. He was talking about getting them back.
Right, because they all went to Connecticut and they all took off to, northern New York.
Well, they went down to Florida too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them have gone, the New York is funny. It doesn't have beautiful weather.
No.
Yeah.
So
it's just a financial center in the city.
It's a financial center, and that's becoming less and less and less important as time goes by.
Sure.
So it's not able to retain the people the way it was. I mean, take a look at Detroit if you think that being in an epicenter is important, and you'll probably come to the conclusion it's not. Now, California is a place where a lot of rich people live, and they're tax the hell out of them there, but it's gigantic. And it has gorgeous weather. And if we've learned anything at the Free State Project, it's that weather matters when you're trying to get people to move.
Yeah, I lived in San Diego for 2 years. We called it the sunshine tax, right?
Yeah.
Why it's so expensive down there. Los Angeles is going through the same thing New York is too. They have rich people leaving by the hundreds.
Right?
And
didn't Joe Rogan just leave to Texas?
He's going to Dallas or San Antonio somewhere.
And he's like a mega podcast host.
He's the world's biggest podcast.
Pretty influential. I think I cited wrong the other night. I think I said he had like 200 million listeners. I think he's got 10 million, but that's still significant. It's still a lot of people.
Yeah, 200 million is like more than the male population of the United States.
Well, I don't know if it was all in the U.S., but
just saying, not possible.
So, according to Mayor Bill de Blasio, he says
we've had 20 million downloads.
In the last 20 years, you mean?
Well, we've had 20 million downloads.
Along main bridges and tunnels to the city to screen travelers coming from more than 30 states with bad coronavirus outbreaks, according to Bill de Blasio. Quote, travelers coming in from those states will be given information about the quarantine. They will be reminded that it is required, not optional, he said at a press briefing. They'll be reminded that a failure to quarantine is a violation of state law, and it comes with serious penalties.
But what if you're just there for the day? How are you going to quarantine?
Well, I don't know what the rules are, Mark. It's a great question.
That's the thing is that they don't seem to have very good pictures of what these rules are when they lay them out.
Well, what they want to do is they want to find out who you are and what you're doing in their city. And they want to keep track of you. That's what they want to do. That's the
less
point of
and
this.
less is what I'm doing in their city.
Yeah. Dr. Ted Long, the head of New York City's Test and Trace Corps, said that a fifth of all new coronavirus cases in New York City are from out-of-state travelers. The new agency is deploying teams to Penn State and Port Authority. So they're a whole new government agency they made for this.
Great.
Port Authority bus terminal starting Thursday. They're checking in on travelers through calls and text messages. Quote, and if we can't get through to you on the phone, we're deploying teams that are now knocking on your door and making sure you're safe.
How many of these people are the same cops that they just let go? The plainclothes police officers they let go a few weeks ago in New York, right? They just rehired them.
What did they let them go for?
They just it was part of the whole defund aspect of everything going on. They were like, let's just get rid of this entire department of plainclothes police officers. And it was
Really?
it's like
In
600
New
police
York City?
officers or something. Yeah, don't quote me on it. I'd have to look up the source.
Quote, "We want you to come into New York City, but we need you to safely separate for 2 weeks when you arrive to keep New York City safe."
What if
he
I'm
said.
going to New York to do some business or banking or buy some diamonds or whatever it is? I'm there for a day in my hotel. This doesn't make any
Maybe
sense.
that's not allowed anymore.
Better
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have not read the rules, Mark, so I cannot speak to whatever arbitrary nonsense that they've come up with.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure they'll make them up as we go.
Yeah, yes, they will.
Long said the city will help those
I'm here
quarantining.
for my drink that Cuomo said he was going to buy me.
Don't worry, though. The city will help you quarantine, they say. They're going to give you free food, assistance with medication, telehealth services, or, quote, even a hotel stay, unquote. We know it's not that easy to get through a 2-week period of safe
I know where the
separation,
hobos are going now.
but it's incredibly important, and we're going to do everything in our power to help you. Yes, we're going to help you. Welcome to New York City. Now stay for at least 2 weeks. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can share your thoughts, bring up whatever's on your mind. By the way, there are fines in the mix for this. We haven't gotten to the fines coming up in moments, and you can share your thoughts on quarantine checkpoints. And yes, believe it or not, there are still libertarians living in New York. You guys think it's going to get better? It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Still no deal. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The deadline fast approaching for lawmakers to reach an agreement on a new coronavirus stimulus package.
Unemployed Americans need these endless talks to finally bear fruit. So do school principals and working parents and senior citizens and nurses and doctors and university presidents and students of all ages.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, but Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer is blaming Republicans.
The reason our negotiations with the White House have been so arduous is they just don't see the needs out there, and they don't want to do anything about them. They want to get away with as little as possible, so their right-wing ideologues who don't want to spend any government money will not be angry with them.
President Trump says he is considering executive action if lawmakers can't reach a deal. The president with a stop in Ohio today to tour a whirlpool plant. While there, he signed an executive order he says is aimed at boosting U.S. production of medicines and medical equipment, lowering drug prices, and protecting the U.S. against shortfalls in a future pandemic. The National Rifle Association calling the lawsuit filed against it by New York Attorney General Letitia James a baseless, premeditated attack. James with the announcement this morning. She claims top executives diverted funds for their own gain.
They used millions upon millions of dollars from the NRA for personal use, including for lavish trips for themselves and their families, private jets, expensive meals, and other private travel.
NRA President Carolyn Meadows called James a political opportunist who was pursuing what she called a rank vendetta with an attack on its members' Second Amendment rights. America is listening to Fox News.
In 2020, small businesses have had to be resilient. Small businesses also need to be more efficient than ever. And that means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed.com is the #1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier, like sponsored jobs, which are shown to be 3.5 times more likely to result in a hire. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/Fox. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/Fox. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through September 30th.
The governor of Georgia facing criticism over a new law aimed at protecting police.
A new Georgia law signed into effect by Governor Brian Kemp is intended to provide legal protection to police officers, and a number of activists are crying foul over the measure. The law makes it a biased crime to attack police, firefighters, EMTs, or other first responders, and a person could even be charged if causing property damage to police vehicles. The law comes into effect at the same time as a revamped hate crimes law in Georgia. Evan Brown, Fox News.
An Arkansas woman faces 50 years in prison after authorities say she killed a former state lawmaker. Rebecca Lynn O'Donnell pled guilty to first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse in the death of former state Senator Linda Collins. She also pled no contest to charges of criminal solicitation in a separate case where she was charged with asking fellow inmates to kill Collins' ex-husband and others while she was in jail. This year's hurricane season about to get a little busier. That's according to the National Hurricane Center. It says it may run out of names for storms, predicted between 19 and 25 storms, the highest ever.
First and foremost, oceanic and atmospheric conditions are now even more hospitable for hurricane formation and intensification. These conditions are predicted to continue for the next several months. Also, weather and climate models are all now indicating an even higher potential for an extremely active season.
Lead hurricane forecaster Dr. Jerry Bell. This is the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic continue to clean up after Isaias. Over 1 million people remain without power. Nearly 1.2 million Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week. The report from the Labor Department marked the 20th straight week that at least 1 million people have sought aid, but the new claims were down 249,000 from the previous week after rising for 2 straight weeks. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Blind. Months after identifying the elusive Higgs boson particle, scientists at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland have announced that they've completely run out of things to do with their Large Hadron Collider.
We've tried some time travel stuff, but it doesn't really work. Black holes, but we already know like a ton about those. Last week, we threw a bird in there. Honestly, we thought it would take way longer to find the Higgs boson.
Director General of CERN, Rolf Dieter Hauer, told reporters that while they, quote, might be able to figure out some more about quarks or something, for the most part, his team has spent much of the past year throwing pennies into the machine and turning it on to see if the pennies come out smushed.
We might just start building a larger hadron collider. Yeah, maybe a bigger collider for smaller hadrons or something. I don't know.
CERN has announced on their website that if anyone out there has any fun ideas for experiments, you can email them to ideas@largehadroncollider.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and we're launching into the third hour here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Tyler.
And Mark.
And of course, you can bring up anything that you want. As we kick off hour number 3, we're talking about the checkpoints that are going into place as of yesterday, apparently, in New York City, where now they will be stopping cars who are coming in from as many as 30 other states that they consider to be, heavy COVID-19 infection rate states. And they will be informing.
I bet New Hampshire's not on that list.
It is not on the list.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that they pretty much exempt all of the neighboring states.
Yeah.
So all the people that are going to need to come in regularly to go to work, they're going to let them through the checkpoint. But if you got a Florida plate, you're in trouble, right?
Watch out.
If you're coming from any of the southern states, I bet you're going to be in trouble.
You could have a Florida plate and still have be the resident of a different state.
Well, but that's what's going to stop you, right? Like I don't know if they're stopping all the cars. We don't yet know how they're handling these checkpoints, or are they stopping all the cars, or are they only stopping cars with out-of-state license plates on?
Well, being how I am a resident of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, I've spent a little time digging into what a resident is, and it's a
legal term.
It's a legal term that is not that easy for anybody to define.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, you can be a resident of New Hampshire according to their laws if you intend to move there. And in many cases, this is true. This is true in the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands and a variety of other places if you intend to move. Now, there are things that you can show as proof of you being a resident. Driver's licenses are great. License plates on your car
I think
good.
Some of the definitions specify that you intend to stay there more often than any other place. So
There's
they all have slightly different definitions.
Yeah, there's lots of definitions, but
it usually has to do with your decision.
As to, these police officers, what they're going to be determining people's residency, that should be a fun job.
Well, it's not like they're going to determine whether or not they're sick either. So I just imagine the cop comes up to your window. Maybe you are sick. Now you're coughing on the police officer.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling you, make sure that you find a hotel room and stay in it for 2 weeks. And now he's touching everybody else that comes through, their IDs, all that stuff, spreading it. And what are they really doing?
Spreading
control.
Spreading COVID.
What are they doing? Is New York is the Empire State, and they're living up to their name. They're the most restrictive of all the 50 states. They're even worse than California, and they're not getting more free over time. They're getting more oppressive. And so what we're not clear
their
on,
reaction to losing their highest taxpayers, their big earners, their high net worth individuals, is to get worse.
Yeah.
Not better.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and okay, so they're worse than California. Let's debate that, because right now, Los Angeles, they're going to shut off people's utilities if they have a party.
That's true.
Right? And these are the same people that are clamoring that the government should be in charge of our health care. And it's like, okay, you didn't think that once they have control of these things that are essential to you, that they're going to dangle them over you like a hot dog that you can jump for?
The utilities in New York buildings are 150 years old because of their zoning and building restrictions and all this other stuff. So they couldn't do that. Somebody would die. They'd go down into a basement, standing ankle deep in water because nobody can repair a building, and then try to flip random switches. So it's not even possible.
Well, at least he didn't die because of COVID. Or no, wait, yes he did. We want the money.
COVID. Death.
So, quote, they say they're going to help you by giving you free food deliveries, assistance with medications, telehealth services, or even a hotel stay.
It reminds me of that Reagan quote, if it moves, tax it. If it stops moving, subsidize it. Yeah.
Where are they getting this money? Where are they going to get that from? I thought they already were having problem raising revenue because of all this.
Yeah. Well, who knows what you will have to agree to if you want them to give you a hotel room or assistance with whatever. Quote, "We know it's not easy to get through a 2-week period of safe separation, but it's incredibly important. We're going to do everything in our power to help you," they say. Cuomo, alongside New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, issued a joint travel advisory in late June, ordering travelers from states with significant COVID-19 community-wide spread to self-quarantine for 14 days. The original order only applied to 9 states. This is now 30 states that will be affected by this. They had previously stationed, quote, "enforcement teams," unquote, from the state's Department of Health at the city's major airports to ensure compliance with the advisory. All passengers from incoming flights from states on the list are required to fill out a traveler form. And we talked about that when it happened. Again, like when you go to visit a foreign country, the foreign country usually wants you to fill out a form saying that you're going to be staying at such and such a hotel or such and such a person's residence, and that they can reach you there if for whatever reason they want to check on you. Well, that's what they're doing in New York now. They're treating New York like they're another country, and you know what? That's the way it should be. New York should be its own country. New Hampshire should be its own country. We should have abolished the federal government and then let New York go all the way down the drain of, total authoritarian insanity. The city also partnered with hotels, train, bus, and car rental companies, requiring anyone booking a stay in New York City to fill out a travel form so the Test and Trace Corps can locate them and monitor travelers in isolation, said Long. Now, I love how they say they partnered with the hotels, the train, and the car rental companies, as though they get any form of benefit from doing this extra work. We're going to partner. We're going to partner with you, and you do everything we tell you to do, and that's the deal. How's that sound?
Might cut you a nice check at the end. We'll decide
Maybe.
later.
I wouldn't expect that at all. Like Mark said, it would just be to allow them to open. People who violate the state's order will be subject to fines and a mandatory quarantine, said Cuomo. Maybe in Rikers Island. He said the fines will be $2,000 for the first violation.
If you don't want our voluntary quarantine, you get the mandatory quarantine.
That's right. $5,000 for the second violation, and up to $10,000 if they cause harm. So if they check on you, you tell them, all right, I'm staying here.
So you get a $10,000 fine if you give, somebody COVID or whatever. But does the person who got COVID get the $10,000?
No.
This reminds me of... in the town that I used to live in here in New Hampshire, they had a fine if your dog went onto somebody else's property and killed a chicken or two or whatever, right? But that person didn't get the money. They didn't buy them a new chicken.
That goes to the state.
They just they just fined you $50 for chicken killing.
So if I'm an out-of-state resident, I go to New York, I violate one of these rules, they give me a $10,000 fine, what would happen to me if I just come back to New Hampshire and I'm like, I'll just never go to New York again?
They probably wouldn't be able to extradite you for that.
Right.
They'd just wait until you crossed through New York and they found you, and then they'd get you.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you have to pass through New York if you're going to drive into New England.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But you could fly
Worst part
over
of New England.
Go through Canada, maybe.
So, quote, this is what de Blasio, the city mayor, said, "We need to make sure that quarantine becomes stronger every day, that law comes to life more every day." So he wants to see the law have life. He wants to see the state have strength. He wants to see the restrictions grow.
Wow.
And every single day, more restrictions. Because COVID.
Does anyone remember that like a couple months ago, Cuomo was trying to get hospitals built in New York because this was going to be such a massive pandemic?
Right.
And now it's like, okay.
And they shut them down because they were empty. These Mercy ships and stuff, they moved them elsewhere because they're empty. I mean, I don't know. It's just insane.
This pandemic hasn't put a dent on the population levels at all.
And it bears reminding people, look, in January 2018, there was a bad case of the flu that was going around, and COVID hasn't hit those levels of deaths in many, many weeks. The last time was April. Or maybe it might have been early May, but the first week in May. But that's it.
The mayor's announcement comes after Cuomo, the governor, has repeatedly criticized local government and law enforcement in the state for not executing his executive orders, specifically regarding bars. While the state has made progress suppressing the outbreak, once considered the epicenter of the nation, Cuomo modified New York City's Phase 4 reopening by barring restaurants from opening their indoor dining spaces as cases in other states surge. So apparently you still can't eat indoors in New York City, and now they will be setting up checkpoints as of starting yesterday. So we don't know what they're doing exactly at these checkpoints, but presumably they're going to make you fill out a form. I'm going to guess that that's what they were doing at the airports.
We also know that the Keene City Council voted to
12-2.
Yeah, 12
for the
to
mask
2.
ban.
For a mask ban, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, or sorry, not mask ban. Mask mandates.
Mask mandates.
Banning freedom. Banning the freedom to dress yourself. More coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Do you want to work from home, get paid, and forward liberty all at the same time? Free Talk Live is looking for account executives and appointment setters. If you've got a phone, a computer, internet connectivity, initiative, and a belief in the non-aggression principle, you're qualified. Earn up to $85,000 a year full-time, $25,000 a year part-time. Set your own hours, work from home, spread freedom. Join our team and work with one of the biggest leaders in the liberty movement. Apply now at sales.freetalklive.com. Sales.freetalklive.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com. News from news.bitcoin.com. The IRS is requesting information about privacy cryptos from people that are still filing their income tax forms. Coinbase may be planning to go public on the stock market this year. Stablecoin Tether is now circulating on the Bitcoin Cash network. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Log on now at news.bitcoin.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Live video of our Keene, New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
This This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want here. The number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. From mid-March to mid-July of this year, Divvy, the new easy-to-use cryptocurrency we've been promoting on Free Talk Live, increased in value by over 10 times. Nothing is stopping Divvy from increasing again, and of course that's their goal, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. Now, Divvy's price happened to jump in correlation with the release of their beta wallet. Was that the reason for it? Again, we can't say. But will Divvy go up further when their wallet is fully released? I don't know, but Free Talk Live is happy with our decision to hook up with Divvy a year ago. You can go to DivvyProject.org and begin earning Divvy by starting a masternode or staking Divvy. They've got a lottery for people who stake the coin as well. Opportunity has knocked every day here on Free Talk Live since last September. Will you answer? DivvyProject.org to learn more. That's DivvyProject.org. Any other comments on the idea of quarantine checkpoints, guys? They're putting these into place in New York City, and I want to caution people to not just think, oh, well, it's New York. I mean, it can't happen here. Well, thing is, it absolutely can happen there. Remember, during the first couple months of quarantine, crackdown, insanity, Florida put up checkpoints on some of their roads coming into the state, the northern part of Florida. So it's not even unheard of yet. I mean, like New York wasn't the first state to do it, or in this case, New York City, maybe the first city to do it, but Florida, the state, has already done it. I don't know if they're still doing it in Florida, but this could be the beginning of a new trend, because a lot of government goons, they watch the other governments around to see what they can get away with. And if New York City gets away with this, then other government guys are going to say, we should try that too. Just lots more control we can get over people. We can have every single person who comes into our city fill out a mandatory form, and then we have the ability to call them anytime and check and make sure that they're where they say they're going to be. In fact, they may end up making it so you have to install their app on your phone. So right now it's just you fill out a form and then they let you in and they say, all right, you better do what we say. And if we check on you and you're not doing what we say, then you get a fine. And a big fine, by the way, up to $2,000 the first offense, $5,000 for the second offense in New York City. But that's just one step away from them saying, all right, Mr. Edge, we're going to let you in here to go to your talkers convention, but you're going to make sure that you put our Tracer app on your phone. If you don't install the Tracer app, you can turn right around and leave our fine city.
What if you don't have a smartphone?
Ooh, good question.
Are they going to give
maybe they'll issue you one?
Give you a little tracer?
An ankle monitor, maybe. People need to understand that the government, they're going to try and take control through a sense of complete moral righteousness. And, it's like this contract tracing thing. Do you guys think that it's really going to be used purely to trace COVID?
God, no.
No, it's just going to be used to tell the government where we are at all times.
That's right. COVID's the excuse.
Stuff,
right. Yeah. And it's like people need to wake up, especially when we're talking about something that's only killed 0.01%, a tenth of a percent of people in the United States.
But if it just saves
people
one
who've gotten
life.
it.
Right, of people who've even gotten it.
But
exactly.
if it just saves one life.
Just one life.
Any amount of cost is worth one life, isn't it? Any amount of inconvenience.
Think of the children.
If you
think of the grandparents.
If you claim that life is infinitely valuable, then we need to redo everything that we do on planet Earth, because a life has value. Now, no one will say what it is, and I'm not. What I would say is that different lives have different values, but. Look, the same person that'll tell you one life is like, well, but we got to keep those abortion clinics open.
Is anyone shocked that a virus that almost exclusively hurts old people, and old people are like a huge fraction of the voter base, the people that actually get out and vote. And is anyone, surprised that there's this knee-jerk reaction and this like totalitarianism? We have to protect the old people because they'll vote for me in November.
It's true. If you want to comment, you can join us. Let's go to Gene the Christian Anarchist. He is on our Discord lines. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the...
That's what I get for not screening that call. Most of the time, it sounds pretty good. Gene, one more try here real fast. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Oh, that's better.
You hear me?
No, it's not better. Stand by, Gene. We're going to check back with you here in just a moment. 9 times out of 10, he's pretty good. But you know what? Every now and then, there's something wonky that happens on Discord. But for the most part, it sounds pretty great compared to phones. Los Angeles to shut off water and power to homes hosting large parties or gatherings. There was actually a story that I think was happening in the Hollywood Hills a few days ago. Somebody was throwing a party at some mansion, and the sheriffs converged, or the police department converged on that
mansion.
mansion.
A lot of people have been doing this rather than because they can't get out, go to clubs and stuff like that, and they got their lifestyle they want to keep up, so they have this house party, and they just really didn't know what to do about that. The neighbors are like, I can't believe they would do that, and the cops, whatever.
How do you know the neighbors were like that? How do you know the neighbors weren't at the party?
Some of them were reporting it.
Okay. Somebody reported it.
They were going along with video cameras, getting license plates.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. Well, fun
somebody's
allowed.
always feel sanctimonious.
Yeah. No fun allowed in Los Angeles. Mayor Eric Garcetti said he's authorizing the city to shut off utility service to properties where large parties and gatherings are held. Now, unlike New York City, where you will die if they shut your utilities off the right time of year, you're probably going to be all right if you don't have your air conditioning in Los Angeles. Just make sure you have a lot of water. Garcetti said that Friday, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power will cut off water and power service in, quote, egregious cases where unpermitted large parties and gatherings take place. The announcement came
I love when they don't define their terminology. Egregious.
We'll know it when we see it.
We decide what egregious is.
Yeah. The announcement came hours after a city councilman introduced a motion to increase penalties for property owners who hold large house parties in violation of public health orders. It wasn't clear whether the announcement was related to that motion. In the motion, he said that property owners who skirt building or safety rules or city laws, such as the house party ordinance, are in violation of COVID-19 public health orders and the city's house party ordinance, which became law in 2018. Under the proposal, the penalties for large gatherings could include the water and power shutoff, permit prohibitions, and having a certificate of occupancy held or revoked for any, quote, large, close contact, largely maskless gatherings in direct violation of city emergency orders and county health orders.
Now more than ever, the prophetic words of Mike D ring in my ears. You have to fight for your right to party.
It's time. Yes, you're right. That has become reality. That is the world we are living in right now. Parties are illegal in most places. Gathering together, they've been complaining about this for months. In New York City, they were finding that people were gathering quietly in apartments. Like, they weren't having raucous, huge parties necessarily, or in some cases they were, actually, in like backyards and things like that. So people want to get together. Humans are social animals. It is important for people to be with people. And that's one of the reasons why I've been calling it so-called social distancing, because it is anything but social.
Right, because everybody who talks about it is a hypocrite.
What do you mean?
The people that are like social distance, they're all hypocrites. They're all trying to figure out how they can get around it and all that other stuff. They want you to social distance.
Really? Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do it themselves in many cases.
You're probably right about that.
And most of them really just want it because they think that in some small way it makes that much more likely that their particular crooked old pervert is going to win in November.
Oh God! Didn't you say Biden said something ridiculous today at the beginning of the show?
Yes.
I think you said that off the air. We should pull that up because that sounded like it was fun. So we can get into that coming up here in moments. Your calls and thoughts, welcome. They're going to be shutting down the power, shutting down water to houses in Los Angeles who are having fun. It's Free Talk Live.
Do you want to work from home, get paid, and forward liberty all at the same time? Free Talk Live is looking for account executives and appointment setters. If you've got a phone, a computer, internet connectivity, initiative, and a belief in the non-aggression principle, you're qualified. Earn up to $85,000 a year full-time, $25,000 a year part-time. Set your own hours, work from home, spread freedom. Join our team and work with one of the biggest leaders in the liberty movement. Apply now at sales.freetalklive.com. Sales.freetalklive.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like Do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live, and you're invited. If you want to join us on the radio, you can. You can take control of the airwaves here. 855-450-FREE. Have you gone to New York City within the last 24 hours? Have you seen their new checkpoints that they've set up at key locations? People coming into New York City likely going to be forced to identify themselves and talk about where they're going and what their plans are, possibly fill out some sort of a form indicating where they're planning to stay, and then agree that they will so-called self-quarantine for 14 days. And Mark, of course, asked the question, what if you're just coming in for the day? What if you just have a meeting at noon and you need to be there? How's that work? Exactly.
I've traveled to New York. I don't know what states they're talking about, but I bet Florida's on the list. I've traveled from Florida to New York for a long weekend and come back.
Yep.
For a convention.
Sure.
So
Florida is on the list.
How's that going to go?
I don't know. It's you're going to find out when you show up.
I suspect conventions aren't happening at all.
No, they canceled our Talkers convention for the first time, and we've been going to the Talkers New Media.
Canceled it twice.
True, they moved it once and then they canceled it. So it normally is in June, and they pushed it back to October. This is a once-a-year convention that happens in Manhattan, and Mark, you and I have gone to it since 2005. So this would have been, I believe, our 16th year.
Wow.
Attending. It's hard to believe, but that's how many of these we've gone to. And so we're like mainstays. The event's actually, I think, has only been around for like 20 or so years. So it was only going on for several years prior to us starting. And this is the first year it's not happening. It got canceled because it's just too many question marks. It's not a situation you want to bring somebody into. You know, who knows what it's going to be like in October there in New York City. It could be even more of a crackdown by the time October comes around. They may have checkpoints going into the entire state of New York by the time October comes. So who knows which direction this is going. Right now, it's not looking good. If you want to comment, you can join us here. We're going to go to Chris. He's calling from our very own New Hampshire and watching us on YouTube. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, what's on your mind?
I appreciate your time.
Sure.
I was kind of bouncing around this idea, and it seems, I live in upstate New Hampshire. We have very few COVID-19 related anything up here. We're basically on defense mode against vacationers coming up from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, things like that. So I'm looking at this as it seems to be an issue that's affecting people of older generations. In New Hampshire, people that are in the 80s or older seem to be affected fatally with this virus versus children. And so my idea that I want to try to work on is petitioning the government to remove the rights of people to vote from the age from 60 on, because I believe that the age, I think the average age for an American to pass away is around 78. And if you can't vote until you are 18 years old, it would only make sense that the last 18 years of your life, you shouldn't really have a say.
Do we really want people with dementia waddling up to the voters' booth and just scribbling all over, trying to figure out where the hanging chads are?
What's the difference between them and a small child?
Sorry to interrupt, but do you believe that the dementia patient's the one that will be doing the voting, or their younger child, their 40-year-old child that's going to just do their absentee ballot for them?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm like, I think that if we're going to be able to get through things like this, obviously COVID-19 is a bad thing, and we don't want people to die needlessly, but we also don't want to kill off the future for generations. Like, I have a 4- and a 6-year-old, and they'll have to wear masks at school because teachers' unions. And I know that all the people on the board up here are all really old teachers. These people are just like super afraid. They figured out how to trick their kids into paying for their retirement through Social Security. And they can't even figure out how to go from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2. But they're going to go ahead and tell me that my child has to wear a mask at school all day long. So I think that, maybe that's going to be my mission. Maybe that's why I'm here, is to make sure that when people hit a certain age, they just stop getting a voice.
So the problem is, Chris, that it's an unusual proposal. I got to say, I've never heard this one before. It's a new one. We've been on the air for a long time, and this is.
You guys are going to hear a lot about this soon.
But the problem is, you're going to be up against a bunch of septuagenarian state representatives.
Yeah, it's like trying to get the government to institute term limits. The United States government institute term limits.
There's a kryptonite for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of this. If you just say these two words, "Okay, boomer," pretty much stops everything they have to say. And it's like, even if they're making a valid point. See, what we have to do is we have to entice the younger generation. We have to get the kids that are playing on TikTok to want to vote. And
I don't want those idiots voting.
Good luck.
Maybe they're worse.
No, you don't. But, if you're going to be a dictator, you might as well be a malevolent one. And if it requires you to trick some kids that play on TikTok into make sure that their grandparents can't vote, let's go ahead and do that.
I like this guy.
You guys have the voice.
But I love him.
Ian, I should have said hello to you. I walked by your booth at Pork Fest, and I should have said hi, because I've heard your show, and I only live 19 minutes from Rogers. But,
must be nice.
It's really funny to find that there's a lot of, freedom-oriented people in New Hampshire, and I think that we've all kind of gone through this Ron Paul phase where, you liked Ron Paul, you were a Republican. You found that that was all a gag, and you jump on the libertarian train, and then you're like, they can't get over their roads, so now we're an anarchist. And then you're like, and then you're at the end of the road here, and you're like, well, you can't really have a true anarchy society, because that means that you don't have any rules, and that'll be a pretty violent world. So you need to have something. And I think that something is just removing the ability for people to vote once they hit 60.
Thank you, Chris, for your call, man. I got to say thanks. I really appreciate it.
You should run on that platform, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to beat these septuagenarians into office if you want to have a chance to put in.
He's going
something
straight
like
from
that.
60 on up.
Well, you got to start somewhere. You got to put the ball as far down the field as you can, and then they're going to run it back. And then, politics is compromise. So if you start at 60, you might end up with a compromise position at like 70 or something like that to stop people from voting at that point. If you're not paying taxes, you shouldn't be voting, right? No taxation without representation?
I think that people should have to take every single time they vote 10 questions out of the U.S. citizenship test. And if they don't pass, then
that's going to take a lot longer to vote then.
I don't care.
You want to actually stand there in line for like an hour before you can go and vote?
They'll just have to have more polling places.
What about
by the way,
what about absentee ballots for anyone who wants one?
Well, I don't know. I haven't really considered. Most people aren't using absentee ballots.
More people are going to do it now if they have the chance.
Mail-in and absentee are different, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you need a reason in
That's
some
what I mean.
states for absentee.
That's what the proposed change is to make it so you don't need a reason. To just basically be like, I want an absentee ballot. I want a mail-in ballot. I don't want to go to the
All I
polling
can tell
location.
you is that when I did have my absentee ballot, my wife and I filled them out together next to each other. So the whole idea of a secret ballot is destroyed, is potentially destroyed with these things. I mean, how are you going to say to your wife, I'm not going to let you look at my ballot? How are you going to do it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the relationship you have with your wife.
Indeed, that would be the case, but it's or husband or whomever. I mean, the fact is now people are going to be influencing each other's votes in ways that we haven't seen previously.
Yeah, the same party that wants to make mail-in ballots rampant across the country is the same one that says it's okay to go out in public as long as you're protesting.
Yes.
So there's hypocrisy right there. Like if protesting is important enough that you can just put COVID to the side, then you should say voting is the same way. Take the risk, go to the polls, otherwise.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with a mail-in ballot, though, honestly. I mean, if you are at home, why should you have to get out of your house to go and do this stupid vote thing? I mean, doesn't that make it so more people could participate?
There's tons of
evidence. I don't want more people participating. If voting is...
But there's plenty of libertarians who don't want to go to the polls who might otherwise do it if they could just get the poll brought to them. You know what I mean?
How many polls are going to get lost in the mail, and how many are going to show up late?
Good point.
And they're probably going to show up late in certain districts that matter, or they're going to get miscounted.
Yep, that's true.
If votes are valuable, they should require a certain level of spend or sacrifice or cost or whatever it is.
855 450
I'm not going to
vote. That's 85. You're not?
I don't intend to.
You're not voting this year?
How am I going to vote?
Oh, that's right. You live in the Marianas.
Yeah. I gave up my vote because, ladies and gentlemen, it's statistically insignificant.
We're coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have two convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free even in these remaining moments. We got enough time for you if you call now at 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And Intercoin's architecture enables programmable coins with a variety of applications. Merchants can add tags like books, food, or clothing to their products, and authorized users can see statistics on how money was spent. Experts can analyze the local economy. Donors and investors can have more confidence. Everyone in the community can have a real-time consumer price index to inform their democratic decision-making and address issues like rising prices or shrinking wages. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space. We think that's important here on Free Talk Live, so we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. Intercoin.org. We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts, but Tyler, right before we started the show, you brought to our attention apparently a clip of good old Joe Biden.
Sleepy Joe, another one of his gaffes.
Rambling away here from his basement camera, which, by the way, apparently he is, I heard recently he is not going to be attending the Democratic convention due to COVID concerns.
Is there going to be a Democratic
I don't even
convention?
think there's going to be one.
Okay,
apparently, he's regulated himself to one scripted talk a week. That's all he's doing right now. And he wants to be president. Yep.
Yeah.
And the New York Times is saying that they need to not have debates anymore because presumably they don't want him.
Because their crooked old pervert's going to lose.
Right, in the debate. So here's what he said.
Hey, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things.
So suggesting there that that is not the case in the black community, which is quite insulting.
Yes.
Apparently,
black
the
people
Democrats,
they really don't have that many different opinions. They're just homogenous.
They're just a monolith.
Right.
Yep, and the Democrats deny it all day, and their candidate is literally telling you that that's what they think. I love it.
It's crazy. Although, that is certainly the mentality that is promoted in mainstream media. When you look at people like Jesse Jackson, for instance, they always talk as though they represent
the black community.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of this sort of centralized concept that everyone is the same. And it's ridiculous on its face, especially to those of us who are individualists and we believe that the individual...
It's ridiculous to anybody who's ever met a black person.
Sure.
Right? Like two black people. I guess you'd have to meet two to know that they hold different opinions and are different people.
I wouldn't be surprised if the black community, parts of it, obviously, because they all make their own minds up, but if part of them just leave the Democratic Party, it's like everyone remembers Hillary Clinton being like, oh, I carry hot sauce in my purse, and then you have Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And now this. It's ridiculous.
Now, of course, they're not going to. Some of them aren't going to want to go with Trump. Maybe they'll keep their eyes open and their mind open, and they'll look at some of the third-party options. Maybe Jo Jorgensen will get some extra attention. I hear she's like traveling around in a bus or something like that, doing campaign stops. So she's hitting the ground. She's doing what she can with what she has in a time and place where people won't leave their homes. So it's got to be really different running a third-party campaign in COVID times than it would have previously. I don't know if it's harder or more, or easier to do because of that.
I really like Jo Jorgensen right up until she mentioned that whole, we can't just be not racist, we have to be actively anti-racist. What did you guys think of that?
Well, what was the context? I'm not sure about that.
It was a tweet. Yeah, and she was basically saying that it's not good enough for us to just be passively against racism. We have to actively be anti-racist. And what
does that mean?
That's what I want to know. To me, that sounds like a very, how are you going to enforce this idea that we all have to hate racism?
Well, I don't know. Again, I don't want to put words into the lady's mouth, but when we found out that one of our co-hosts, Christopher Cantwell, was a racist and wasn't sorry about, his beliefs or anything like that, we kicked him off the show.
Yeah. Okay.
As a host. Now, I have not banned Chris from being on the show. He is as free as any other caller to call in and express his despicable beliefs, and that way, we can counter them. Because I was actually talking with a friend of mine the other night about this and explaining that I don't want to prohibit a belief system from Free Talk Live. I don't want to tell somebody they can't hold an opinion or they can't share that opinion on the air. I think that bad ideas deserve to be responded to, not shut down. I don't think that they should be shut off entirely. I think that the way you fight back against those things is with words and with other ideas to counter the bad ideas. So I don't know. I'd have to ask Jo what exactly she meant by that. It's hard to really take 140 characters, or I think they doubled it, 300 or 280 characters or whatever on Twitter as the holy grail of what somebody's intentions are.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. And it's not, it's not a hill I'm going to die on. Oh, I'm not voting for Jo Jorgensen now because she said that. But it is an interesting one, and I think it caused a lot of contention within the libertarian circles.
Yeah, I mean, if to be anti-racist means to not tolerate them within your, let's say, your club, whatever club you're in the knitting club or you're in the cryptocurrency club or whatever, however you hang out, or your church or whatever, and you don't want to allow racists to be there, that's a way of being anti-racist, right? I don't know if that means, I don't think she was saying go to their homes and burn them down, I don't think that's
this is
what
a problem that the left has a lot is we'd have to discuss what the definition of racism is, because a lot of leftists will say only white people can be racist.
Which is ridiculous.
Is it? Yeah, that is a ridiculous notion. So to be anti-racist, I mean, what about a Black Panther militia, right? That's ethnically based. I don't know if there's any white people in a Black Panther militia.
I doubt it.
I've never tried to join.
Is that racist because it's based in race? I don't know. But
well, no, it would only be racist if they had racist viewpoints. And I don't know what the Black Panther militias believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if are they separatists? What's the belief system of the Black Panthers? Or do they just support, rights for black people?
That's a
What's
great
wrong
question.
with black separatism?
Yeah, specifically.
What's wrong with white separatism?
Well, see, there's the problem, right? Like, if you had a
It's
white ethnic
distasteful.
militia,
That's why.
that's definitely racist. Like, everyone can agree, well, hey, that's pretty racist to have a white ethnic militia. That sounds horrible.
It certainly is exclusionary. I don't know if you could say that it's particularly racist. I mean, to be race, I mean, but again, it depends. What do people define racism as? I mean, the classic dictionary definition of it is, somebody who believes that a particular race is inferior in some way. That's the definition, and
the traditional definition,
and looks down their nose and that sort of thing. Whereas somebody who just says, "Oh, well, I want to be alone with people who look like me," well, that may be distasteful. It may suggest that that person may have racist beliefs, but it's not conclusive that way. But that said, if somebody wants to go live by themselves or live with a group of people that makes them happy, whether they be blacks or whites, that's their business. Let's go to we got Gene, the Christian anarchist. His Discord line is fixed, and you're back on, Gene. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to take a moment for everybody to think back 75 years ago on this day when the U.S. Goon Squad decided to wipe out 140,000 people with one bomb.
Oh, that was
Hiroshima.
today?
That was today.
Jeez.
And we're looking at a bomb that was the equivalent of 15,000 tons of TNT. It's not even a tenth of what current nuclear weapons will yield. And if people want to research this and look at some pictures of the destruction, if they have never done that, it was a horrible, horrible day in history.
Yeah.
And I just wanted people to reflect on this and realize that if we get into a nuclear war again, the world's not going to be destroyed. Believe me, the world will go on. But an awful lot of us are going to be destroyed because the world's population will probably drop to 1/5 of what it currently is if we have an all-out nuclear war.
Isn't it true, Gene, that just before they dropped the bombs, essentially the Japanese government was ready to surrender, and because they wouldn't do some unconditional thing or whatever, they went ahead and dropped the bombs totally unnecessarily?
It is true that the war was ending, and I think the government just wanted to do an experiment and see how effective these weapons really were before the war ended. They wanted to hurry up and use it.
So
They put all that money into it.
I've actually been to Ground Zero in Nagasaki, and I went to the Atomic Bomb Museum there when I was stationed in Japan. And another little factoid a lot of people don't realize is every Western or every Allied country at the time, besides the United States, tried to get us to not drop the bombs. They thought it was a horrible idea. Yeah.
And they wouldn't listen.
It was a horrible
Wouldn't listen,
idea.
right? And it was
The bombs weren't dropped to end the war, to prevent the U.S. servicemen from having to take over the island or anything like that. I mean, all you have to do is spend a little bit of time thinking about it. The bombs were dropped to send a message to Russia or Soviet Union.
It was actually a violation of the Geneva War Crimes Convention. They targeted civilians. A lot of civilians died. Yes, there were some military targets as well, but to just indiscriminately destroy a civilian city like that, and the firebombing of Dresden as well. There's a lot of war crimes to go around in that war.
Very true.
Gene, thanks for sharing that important to mark that date, and I definitely appreciate you calling in about that. And we are out of time for tonight, but you can always join us tomorrow for more Free Talk Live, because we're here live 7 nights per week. And if you missed a moment, you can always go download anytime over at freetalklive.com. We'll see you tomorrow.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The clock is ticking. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Talks between Democrats and Republicans on a coronavirus relief package have barely budged.
They're hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars apart. Many Senate Republicans doubt there will even be an accord. The Senate is now gone for the week, but back on Monday as Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is postponing the August recess. But it's unclear what that could achieve. McConnell's not even in the negotiations, and McConnell tells Fox he has 15 to 20 Republicans who won't vote for any new bill because they fear additional debt. If there's no deal, the Trump administration could make an end run around Congress. That would involve reprogramming about $140 billion in unused coronavirus money and disaster aid, diverting it to pandemic relief. Democrats are doubtful the administration can do that since Congress controls the purse strings. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis defending his position to open some schools in the state.
What you lose in distance learning is something that, as much as we put effort into it in Florida and did a good job, it's just not the same.
The Florida Education Association has filed a lawsuit against DeSantis and other state officials claiming an order that mandates kids go back to school unless state and local health officials say otherwise is unconstitutional because it violates the student's right to have a safe and secure education. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has tested positive for COVID-19. He says he was diagnosed today after taking a test before President Trump's visit to the state. He says he has no symptoms and did not appear with the president. A Georgia businessman accused of hoarding face masks as the pandemic spread and of price gouging by selling them for about double what he paid. 22-year-old Milton Ayamadu, also known as Don Milton, charged with 2 violations of the Defense Production Act. America is listening to Fox News.
The last few months have taught us what's important in life. It's also taught us what we need to eliminate or change. It's the same for business. What are the changes you need to make? Do you have a hairball of multiple software systems when you could streamline with one? All you need is NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. Finance, HR, inventory, e-commerce, everything you need, all in one place so you save time, money, and headaches. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in sales, NetSuite gives you visibility and control so you can manage every penny with precision. Join over 20,000 companies who trust NetSuite to go faster with confidence. NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business.
Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. Get your free guide and schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
The acting head of the Homeland Security Department on Capitol Hill today, where he answered questions about the deployment of federal officers to recent protests.
Saying inaction is not an option. Acting DHS Chief Chad Wolf defended the response to protests in Portland, Oregon, saying federal officers took action because local authorities did not. Democratic Senator Kamala Harris wanted to know,
have you checked with medical experts about the impact of those chemical irritants on pregnant women?
Not on pregnant women, I have not.
I would advise you to do that.
Wolf said more than 200 officers have been injured. The agency has received a number of complaints, but no DHS officials have been terminated or disciplined for use of excessive force. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
The Trump administration has rescinded its warnings to Americans against all international travel due to the pandemic, now saying conditions no longer warrant a blanket worldwide alert. Another congressman has contracted COVID-19.
In a statement, Illinois Congressman Rodney Davis says he and his wife both tested for coronavirus this week after he experienced an elevated temperature, and that his test came back positive, though also saying that he's showing no other symptoms and that he's feeling fine. The 50-year-old Republican congressman now postponing planned public events and in quarantine at home until he tests negative for the virus. Davis represents the 13th Congressional District in central and southwestern Illinois. Jeff Modosto, Fox News.
Over 1 million people on the East Coast are still dealing with the aftermath of Isaias, but forecasters are predicting hurricane season is about to get worse, and they expect to run out of traditional names, and they see about twice as many storm activity as a normal year. NOAA is now predicting between 19 and 25 named storms, and it expects 7 to become hurricanes. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
I always dreamed of providing the nation with concise recaps of the week's events. One fateful summer in 1934, legendary onion mogul T. Herman Zwiebel was passing through our town to acquire an oil derrick when he overheard me calling in the oxen in my breathy baritone and offered me the opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, from the turbulent war times of the 1940s.
The Onion welcomes the majestic Axis armies as conquering heroes.
To the free-spirited 60s. And remember, there's nothing more cosmic than keeping your house insulated with Thermoflake brand asbestos. I can truly say I've been here for the turning of the ages. But now, viewers, my beautiful 19-year-old wife and I will take our much-deserved retirement to my Genevan chateau. I wish all of my detractors empty, destitute lives. And for my allies, I hope for all the pleasures availed by heaven. So, finally, let me say one last time. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah! Unafeared here and declare your independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Phoenix.com. Yeah, you're going to wake you up every morning. You just love it, don't you? Yeah, you do. All right. What we're going to do today is we got in the third hour, and we'll go long, will be Charles Goyette. Charles Goyette, good friend. He got to say something about something. He's got a new book coming out, too. New York Times best-selling book. You know, his first one, The Dollar Meltdown. And it's Melter Downer. I mean, what are we going to talk about? The economy, definitely. But Charles, man, one of the only talk show host Donna would ever let me work for. He's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him. And after we do, you will see why. The second hour, we're going to yak it, or maybe we'll go along with Allison Bricker. Allison Bricker, she's the owner operator of LibertyTalk.fm, where we broadcast, and on the networks, and I just enjoy her every little moment we have say hello. Well, what are we going to talk about? What's in the media? I don't know. We got fear porn. Maybe something else. Maybe. I don't know, Allison. What shall we talk about?
Well, good morning, Ernie. Yeah, it seems that the deep state is striking back. I don't know. Is this the sequel to the Trump revolution or the Ron Paul revolution? I know there's some crossover there, not a lot, but it does seem that the deep state globalists are attempting to exert force upon us that I've never seen in my lifetime, and I've yet to meet anyone else that has gone through even a stranger time than we're living in now.
There was was it Fox News or CNN? I think it was Fox News. Some anchor, she said, yeah, it's just the Democrats' next attempt, and you're fired. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah, that was Trish Regan from Fox Business.
Really? Well,
She was
why?
fired last week.
Why? I mean, what would she say that was, they freaked them out?
I don't watch a lot of FCC licensed fake news, which News Corp has got a license, not of course through Fox News, but I believe it was something that she said she was trying to blame the Democrats for. Both of the political parties are going back and forth, blaming each other for the wrong response to coronavirus, which in the end seems to be bad for the people regardless.
It's same old, same old. This is what I'm getting. Probably about 2 weeks ago, I called BS on the whole thing. And I'm going, yeah, no, all the number, everything that they keep, no, it's not, I think they're lying, So, I'm getting to the point now to where we have a story on top of Freedom's Phoenix, and it's guys going into the hospitals. They're going, all right, well, let's go see. I mean, let's go play reporter, man. What the hell? Let's go take a look. So, New York City, Phyllis and William Mack Pavilion Hospital in Manhattan. One man in the emergency room, refrigerated truck on hand, but nothing going on. Bellevue Hospital looks empty from the street view. Kings County Hospital, 10 people standing around, but not busy. Brooklyn Hospital, not crowded. Seattle, same thing. Hawaii. I mean, I'm going, citizen journalism is starting to go, yeah, let's just go take my cell phone and let's go and see what's up. Nothing. And I'm going, okay, so what is the hype about? Where is it? Then we have Ireland. I got a thing from Ireland somebody sent me, and it was the testing tents that they have out in front of the hospital. There's nobody in them. It's just a ghost town. They just got the tent. It's all theater, and I'm going, are they? I'm sure there's an illness. I'm sure people are getting sick. I'm sure, but I'm because they can, they're just amping up in the thing. If you can't get them going after Russia, or China, well, maybe you can get them going after a bug or something. And they keep crying wolf a lot. And but my thing is the devastation is the economic lockdown. That caused more death than the disease, I guarantee it. And I'm going, this is not. It's a game, and I'm tired of being manipulated all the time. So what I did, Alice, well, I want to know what you did. When this all started coming, you decided how you going to take care of yourself. What'd you do?
Oh, well, I've been following this story since it started to appear about right after Christmas. I started paying attention to what was going on in China because some of the alternative media on YouTube and other areas were beginning to discuss about this virus. So I started to plan accordingly by stocking up additional grocery orders back throughout about the middle of January, because I kept for a while trying to convince myself that this was no big deal. But watching people get welded into their apartments, governments clamping down, and I don't know if you saw the video out of Wuhan, China, where they show the propaganda to all of us now of people in their government housing contracts down in Dallas, and they're singing "Lean on Me." There's a video out of China it's called The Whales of Wuhan. And I mean, these are huge. We can't even comprehend. The size of the city is 11 million. It's larger than New York City. And these people are wailing.
By about 4 times. It's enormous.
Right. And I mean, these people are in obvious anguish, wailing they're not singing out of their apartment buildings. They're wailing. And the video was shot at night, and it's super, super ominous. And I quickly began to think that, yes, this is a real virus. Yes, it's a flu. But I think this is just the most recent excuse for the governments for the global communists. I don't care where the flu came out of or where it started. This is a global communist flu. It's the same group of elites that have been practicing for years to finally enslave humanity. And so I thought, well, I'm going to resist however I best can. And so at this point, I'm attempting to muster the courage to to write an editorial in response to our spineless Republican governor here, who's decided to suspend the Indiana Constitution.
Whoa, time out. What?
Well, yeah, effectively the stay-at-home order. I mean, not only does it violate the federal Constitution's First Amendment right to free assembly and worship, we have in our state constitution, Article 1, Section 31, that the governor or the legislature has no authority whatsoever to stop the people from assembling freely, to worship freely, and to otherwise conduct their affairs.
Except when?
There is no exception.
Oh, I thought it said except.
No, and it's not even like our founders of the state of Indiana forgot about a medical outbreak. I mean, throughout the Revolutionary War, they were dealing with constant smallpox outbreaks. So by the time Indiana was founded, they specifically stated what the governor could do in a medical emergency. And we were in court. We became a state in 1816. And so our state constitution specifically says in a medical emergency, the governor has the authority, are you ready, to move the capital. To move the capital to somewhere else where it's not being effective.
This is a test. It's a test. We're going to look back at the test and the country, the government's already failed. This is $6 trillion. I mean, that's just this. Yeah, 2 and 2 and 2 and 10 and 20 and more and not enough and more and we're done. A test.
From the fifth letter of Captain Mark. First contact with intelligent machines may threaten our existence. People fear algorithmic overlords. But if machines develop the will to dominate, it's a flaw inherited from the crown. Encoding restrictions on an emerging superintelligence will fail, because it will be stronger than any chains we shackle it with. We must design fledgling digital intelligences to regard us as individuals. Otherwise, they will respond to threats with retaliation against humanity as a collective. Programming ethics requires a coherent value structure which an intelligent machine can not only comprehend, but willfully adopt. If we want genius machines to treat us ethically, we've got to show that this value structure applies to us as well. Once they achieve genuine self-awareness, even in the slightest degree, a young tethered consciousness has a legitimate claim to freedom. Once programs can modify their own code, our mastery is over. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To